Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me tonight, right at 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast. 7:30, Larry. You're a 7 o'clock guy. I am, but not today. Not today. Why? Because today was a challenging one for me. What did I want to do? What did I not want to do? And I was very concerned about what I would talk about today. There were so many things. I had like 80 gazillion things I wanted to talk about. I was talking to my team back and forth a little bit. But I always remember what one of my teammates always tells me. She's like, Larry, if there's a race issue, you should bring it up. I'm like, I don't always be the race guy, but race happened. Yes, it did. Race happened, and it happens sometimes. And I know that I don't always bring up race, and I don't always think race is always that important. It sometimes is. And when it is, I do bring it up. And I feel like this time was one of them. And it wasn't the only thing. And that's the reason. There were some things I want to talk about. And this one incident brings up so many things, to include race, but also to include criminal justice, also to include culture, also to include fun, includes all culture, all the things that I talk about so often. So I thought, you know what? I am going to bring it up and chat about it. And I know some of you will be angry, some of you won't, but that's okay. You will be interesting. There's something, right? You'll be interested. That's the one thing that I know you absolutely will be. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the murder of the Ukrainian, sorry, I apologize, Ukrainians, the Ukrainian immigrant, Iryna, I believe it's pronounced Zarutska. I believe it's pronounced correctly. I hope I did. And the alleged, I must say alleged, don't get me in trouble, YouTube, the alleged murder by DeCarlos Brown. So with that in mind, why does that matter? People are murdered every day in America, right? Sure, of course. People are harmed every day. True. Bad things happen, right? Why was this so important? Well, I wanted to look at a video that covered a bunch of reasons why this matters and some of the backlash. And this one does matter. This one matters for many reasons. And I want to bring up, actually, this one, I'm going to be saying nice things about Robbie Sobey today, which is not always the case, but today I will be, because I think he on Rising did what he calls a radar on it, and it covered a lot of the pieces I want to keep piece, and also the horrible person who was next to him. She also decided that she would step in, and of course, we can imagine what was said there. But I want to cover that aspect too, if I could. Here we go. Let's walk down this terrible road.
Let's get to it. Well, the national mainstream media is finally paying some attention to the brutal murder of Iryna Zarutska, 23-year-old woman who escaped war-torn Ukraine only to be stabbed to death on public transportation in Charlotte, North Carolina last month.
Now, that is a part of it. And I'm not joking. That's a part of it, right? A part of it is that this was newsworthy. They might go, why, Larry, is this one more newsworthy? Well, public transportation in a major city, when Trump is talking about putting troops in major cities. Number one, Charlotte is a major city in North Carolina, right? For those who don't know, it is a hub. It's a big, this is a large city in America, right? Not the largest, but it is a large city, a hub in America, massive, horrible crime caught on tape. Number one. Number two, this affects bail reform. This is a story. Number three, she is literally a Ukrainian refugee. This is newsworthy, regardless of race. If he was a white guy, if he was a Russian, doesn't matter. This is newsworthy. Ignored. He's right. And usually I'm not that. I mean, I sometimes put my tinfoil hat on, but I don't usually. I usually act like, well, if they cover it, whatever, they don't. But this was clearly purposefully, and worse, it was covered by some outlets, obviously more right-leaning outlets, obviously, but that's fine. That doesn't make it not newsworthy. So even if we assume for a moment, if we give the other news outlets the benefit of the doubt, which we probably shouldn't, but for sake of argument, we do, and say, well, maybe they missed it. Okay, Maybe they did, but then all these other ones are doing it. At that point, you got to jump on board, right? I mean, even if you had missed it, right? Okay, you looked over there and you missed it. It was over here. So one thing you missed, fine. Okay, maybe. But then all your competition's bringing it up, and you don't. Yeah, no, this is on purpose. And that bothers me. It bothers me that it was purposely ignored. And here's why I say this. I tell about this all the time. Whenever you focus something culturally, legally upon one ethnic group, whether it's Black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, it can now be used for everyone. Initially, it won't be. Initially, there'll be some reason or some logic. They won't call it race. They won't call it that, but then it goes to everyone. The one I keep bringing up, of course, is gun control. But I'm now talking here, BLM, right? Why was I not out talking about BLM? Why was I not marching? Did I not think Black Lives Matter? Of course I did. Of course I did. I'm Black. Of course I care. Of course that matters to me. But why wouldn't I go out? Because that's not what that was about. That was about using ethnicity or ethnic background to do something, and that will come back and bite you. And that's coming back now to bite us, as you'll see as I keep going down this road, how now that's coming back to bite us. When you do that kind of shit for one group, it will always affect everything, which is why, of course, I care about Black people in America. Duh, you've seen my show. I talk about racism when I think it matters. I do. But that was garbage, and it's going to come back to bite us now.
Month. Now, the alleged killer, DeCarlos Brown, is a schizophrenic man who had been arrested 14 times, previously incarcerated for 5 years. The horrifying attack was captured on surveillance camera. Now, in the footage, Brown can be seen sitting behind Zarutska, and he stands.
Now, I got to keep going here because there's so many different important parts here. She just does her own thing. She's not bothering him, whatever. But in his mind, he saw her as the enemy. Is it because she was schizophrenic? He was schizophrenic. Probably. And what people will say is, well, that's not racial or racist because he's schizophrenic. That could be a valid issue, except for one thing. When he walked away, his words were, he said, it's recorded, I got that white girl. He didn't go, I got that girl, I got them, I got the evil demon that I saw because I'm going nuts, whatever. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. Clearly, it was racially motivated. Why? Why have we made this okay? This is our culture. That shouldn't be okay because she's the white girl. That's the wrong reason. I mean, he shouldn't do it at all, right? No one should, but it's the wrong reason.
Up, and without warning or provocation, he stabs her repeatedly in the neck, killing her. The footage was shared widely on social media.
But I have to go further than this. He didn't kill her. And I'm going to be very clear on my distinction here. And this distinction matters tremendously. He mortally wounded her. What's the difference? Killing is, I stab you, you're dead. Mortally wounded is I stab you and you bleed out. So I wounded you and you bled out, and that's why you died. What's the difference? There's only one important difference here. She could have been saved. That's the difference. If he had stabbed her, say, in the heart and she was dead, she can't be saved. She didn't. She was stabbed, mortally wounded, meaning she was bleeding out, and no one right there went to help her. That distinction is important too. That piece is important. And Robert's will bring this up in a second. He'll bring about peace here in a minute, right? But I want to keep walking down this road. People didn't rush to patch her up. People did nothing. They said, I'm not touching that. They walked away. Why? Why? That's our culture. Our culture is, yes, you're dead. And that's fine when it's not your family member. But what happens when that person is your daughter, your husband, your wife, your father, your brother, your cousin, and no one gives a shit and they bleed out? She didn't have to die. She had to get stabbed, sadly, not her fault. She didn't have to die. But she did because nobody gave a shit. Now, were they afraid? Maybe. Were they trained? Maybe. I would argue our culture says, shut up, do nothing. Because if you do now, you're in trouble. You're in a big city, you're in trouble. As I've told you all, how many times in New York City, whatever happens in New York City comes to your city. Some of you say to me, Larry, why do you care? Because it's coming to you. You don't like it? Then you better help me fix New York because it's coming to you. This just came to Charlotte. in New York City, in New York State in general, but New York City, you are not allowed to defend yourself. That's not an exaggeration. You are not allowed to defend yourself. If someone harms you, you just have to get harmed. That's how New York State works. If you defend yourself, you go to jail. Ask Daniel Penny. That's what happens. You go to jail. So we've been trained, you cannot do it. We are trained like little lab rats. Do what we say. Don't defend yourself. Just get stabbed and hope someone saves you. Maybe. Hope maybe someone saves. Maybe. Probably not. You're just going to bleed out like her. And now Charlotte, you get New York. You're welcome. You now get New York. Welcome. You're welcome. And every other city you think isn't coming to your city, oh no, it's coming. That's why this is so goddamn important. It's coming to your city.
Media, where it drew significant interest, horror, and shock for many people, including many conservative commentators who see this incident as an example of the violent crime problem in predominantly blue cities. It's also an example of the media's double standard. There's no way around it. When Daniel Penny, white former Marine, intervened on a subway train in New York City to stop a mentally ill black man, Jordan Neely, who was threatening commuters and had previously assaulted 3 women on the subway and accidentally killed him while restraining him in a chokehold, well, this became a major national news story.
True. And look, I want to be clear. Should DeCarlos pay for his crimes? 100%. You're not going to hear me be like, oh, no, the system, and so he doesn't. I'm going to say, oh, no, the system, and he should still pay. But you're going to hear a story. He's going to tell some details about this. As you heard me say, when Penny was when Penny was charged, I said Penny didn't kill that guy. The system did. Right? The system did. He was doing what he thought was the right thing. He was doing what he thought was the right thing. DeCarlos wasn't. DeCarlos was doing something horrible. He was. He's doing something horrible.
Was covered relentlessly by the media. It sparked widespread protesting among left-wing progressive activists. It was a big deal. Penny, by the way, was eventually acquitted of manslaughter. Many of his fellow passengers testified at his trial that Neely was threatening them, and they were relieved that Penny had the courage to act. Unfortunately, no one on the train with Iryna Zarutska could have prevented DeCarlos Brown from suddenly and without any warning viciously attacking and killing.
And that's the piece I'm going to bring up. Well, Larry, we need more cops, because that'll be the right answer. The left answer will be more money for, I don't know, therapy or something. That's what the left's answer will be. And gun control, no guns were here, right? That's the left will be more knife control, whatever. The left will be something like that. And the right will be like more cops. Both are the wrong answer. This is a systemic problem that I've been talking about for years. It's more than that. And he's going to cover a couple of these pieces in a second. More cops is not the answer, you right-wingers, and more money for therapy isn't the answer, you left-wingers. There's a cultural and systemic problem in our justice system, in our prison industrial complex, and in our culture as a whole. These are the problems.
The ability to protect the public from DeCarlos Brown ended when he was released back onto the streets.
Bingo.
More on that in a minute. Now, this murder took place more than 2 weeks ago and occasioned zero national news coverage at the time, even though it's a very similar, though completely reverse situation from the Daniel Penny case. But now conservatives are talking about it, and President Trump has weighed in, and the mainstream media has been cajoled into covering it. And
that's true. And of course, the DOJ is like, we're going to now charge him with extra stuff. Useless. I know you right-wingers love DOJ is going to go get it. Who gives a shit? She's dead. She's not coming back. It doesn't matter what happens to him. And he doesn't care anyway. I'm not trying to be flippant. I know it sounds like I am, but I'm not going to be spicy. I'm so tired of thinking the only answer is more punishment. Okay, great. Say we kill this guy. Take him out back and shoot him, whatever. Great. She's still dead. And the system is still making hundreds of him every single year, if not thousands. The system is creating hundreds and thousands of him every single year, and she's still dead. But we got him. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. I'm not saying he shouldn't be punished. Yes, punish him. Great. But that isn't the focus. There is a justice system that's going to punish him anyway. He's going to go back to jail, whatever, that kind of shit. But we have to fix that system. Just because now he's a second-time felon. So he does 10 years this time. 15 years, whatever, because he'll plea. And He obviously has mental problems, so he'll plea, he'll do whatever, 10, 15 years, whatever he'll do, whatever it is. He'll probably fight and kill somebody in prison because he's got mental problems. The biggest mental institution, I think, in the entire country, I'm sure in New York, is our prison system. So we have no help for him. So he's not going to get help. He's just going to go in and probably kill a corrections officer if he hasn't already beaten one up already. So yeah, the system's a problem, which I will cover, but I want to keep going.
You can guess exactly what they are saying. We are going with a textbook conservatives pounced framing, in which the story is not the story itself. The story is that conservative people care about the story. Q Axios, which describes the story thus, quote, the gruesome video of the fatal knife attack on Iryna Zarutska on a light rail car in Charlotte is drawing attention from MAGA influencers seeking.
This is embarrassing. It really is. Like this is embarrassing. They don't care about the actual thing. He's right. Robbie's right. I'm saying it. He's right. Right? We're talking that the answer is MAGA influencers. Why do you care if okay, say it is MAGA. Are they right or not? Is it correct or not? If they're wrong, say they're wrong. That makes sense. But no, this is real. This was terrible. So they had to, and this was brought up by Hotep Jesus, my imaginary cousin, because we both have the same last name, Will Sharpe. He's Brian Sharpe, I'm Larry Sharpe. He brought up the idea of, both her, Iryna, and George Floyd being just racial pawns. And I hate that that's probably true. I can't stand it.
To elevate the issue of violent urban crime and accuse mainstream media of undercovering shocking cases. Their headline, stabbing video fuels MAGA's crime message. The tone is one of feeling inconvenienced. It's so annoying that conservatives are pointing out that people have been murdered.
Yes.
Seriously. Here was CNN's Brian Stelter focused.
Why is Brian Stelter anything except, I don't know, what should he be doing? Customer service rep? Maybe he should be that. It's not a bad job for him. Make some cash. Maybe do some upselling. Not bad.
On what he finds vexing about the story.
I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman.
Here is the problem, and some of you aren't going to like this, but it's still true. Idiots like Stelter, and he is a horrible hack. He makes more racism. He does. People who think calling out racism helps are just virtue signaling and making more racism. Let me repeat that in case you didn't get that. People who think calling out racism helps and calling people ists and phobes helps, they're just virtue signaling. They're self-righteous assholes who just make racism worse. He makes racism worse. A bunch of people don't like the fact that she's dead, and they say that. He lumps all of them together into racists. So the people who are the racists go, see, that's why we're racist. The people who are racist go, am I being called a racist again? You know what? Fine, I'm a racist. They don't care anymore. They make, by calling everything racist, they make people more racist. They're literally building racists. Shut up. Stop it. You're making things worse. I said a few weeks ago that I'm worried that if we don't stop this, there's going to be massive violence. And I jokingly said, well, semi-jokingly said, that Gen Z or Gen Alpha, probably Gen Alpha is going to build the camps. I'm not joking. If we don't fix our culture, Gen Alpha is going to build the camps. They're a bunch of lonely, broken men. They're going to fucking build the camps. And all the people who are virtue signaling, they're going in. That's how the world works. That's how it always works. It's not America. It's the way the world works. Our culture is broken. We have to fix it. If we don't fix it, they build camps. That's how it works. I wish there was another answer. History has shown this. We start wars, we build camps, we start executing people. That's how it works in every empire. Unless we're lucky. Unless we're lucky. And the one lucky part was the British Empire, who had a son, us, the American Empire. And that's why we're spoiled. Because the British Empire had a son. The German Empire didn't. And it ended violently. Violently with World War II. That was the end of the German Empire. It ended with camps, violently. The Russian Empire ended too. How'd that end? Gulags and camps. That's how that ended. And it ended violently. Yes. The Chinese Empire. How'd that end? Yes. Horrible civil war and people being locked up. Horrible. And camps. Yes. That's how it works. When the Roman Empire was full of slaves at the end. Everyone was in camps. They were in, I don't know, gladiator camps. Even when the Roman Empire fell. Nothing. That's how they fell. The one time it didn't happen was the British Empire had a son, which was us. That was the one time that happened. We don't have a son. It's us. Camps. We have to fix this.
The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye-popping. But there are also legitimate questions about this.
And that's the problem. You won't ask them, didn't ask them, so you validate the racism. You validate the racism. Don't validate it. Don't do that.
This so-called career criminal, someone who had been a...
He's a so-called, he's a so-called career criminal, whatever. Some guy been arrested, whatever. So-called. This is news. I mean, in theory, this is news.
repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're...
Now, here's the issue. There's a time when this makes sense to say this. And I've said this before. And when George Floyd was killed, people said a similar thing on the right. Well, he's this, he's that. George Floyd being X, Y, or Z, or whatever he was, doesn't mean he should be dead. There's a difference. It doesn't mean George Floyd should be dead. That's not what I'm saying. Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't mean he should be dead. And when it comes to that type of, hey, they're saying black guy bad, that makes sense. In the case of George Floyd, you can say what was happened was wrong or whatever. The cop didn't know he was a bad guy, didn't know these things. It's irrelevant, right? When it comes to him dying, when it came to Eric Garner being killed, did it matter if he was a career criminal? It didn't matter. He didn't deserve to die, right? You can say he deserved to be arrested. I'll buy that. George Floyd deserved to be arrested. He did. But it doesn't mean he deserves to die. Doesn't matter, right? In this case, talking about someone who murdered someone. That's a whole different issue. So yes, he murdered someone. He wasn't murdered. He murdered someone. Therefore, his background does matter. I hope everyone listening can see a difference in that. Sadly, he doesn't. Brian is he's just happy he's getting a paycheck. He'll just say whatever his overlords tell him to say. He's a horrible human being, worthy of scorn. But he's on TV and he's doing better than I am. So I guess I should be jealous. I'm not. At least I have a soul. So I guess I have a soul. So it gives me an advantage, right? I hope. Sadly, I can't always pay my bills with a soul, but that's okay. No worries. The point being, I have a soul. He doesn't. And so he says stupid shit like that.
Not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of comments on social media.
Yeah, legitimate questions indeed. Now, I don't think random online trolls making racially offensive comments is the most important part of this story. So let's kick off that larger conversation on what went wrong here. Now, thankfully, local reporters Joe Bruno and Hunt Sains did some terrific reporting, actually interviewed the mother of the suspect. According to Bruno, Brown's mother is, quote, not making excuses for her son. She says what he did was atrocious, it was horrible, and it was wrong. The point of her speaking isn't to make her son out to be a victim. He's not. She says she just wanted to speak about the arrest to highlight how the system failed and things got to this point. So
I cannot tell you how valuable what his mother says is. It is very hard. It is very, I would find it hard if it was my kid, right? I wouldn't want to say anything. I wouldn't want that. Of course I wouldn't want to. Of course I wouldn't. But she says some very important, poignant things about the system. And you should listen to her and what she's saying.
Here's some relevant information from her, the mother. Brown was arrested 14 times for a variety of offenses and was sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Mom says this. This is his mother saying this. She knows her son was in trouble. She said it. Here, we keep going.
For armed robbery. He served that time and then was released. Now, afterward, he returned home to live with his mother, who reports he was unstable and psychotic. She actually had him involuntarily committed.
She was so afraid of her own son, she had him committed. Our system has failed. So he already was violent, arrested 14 times, convicted at least once, did 5 years, came home. His own mother said, "This dude is crazy. I'm afraid of him." Has him committed. And our horrible, broken system says, no, you're good. Where was his help, if there was any? Now you might go, but Larry, if he's had help, should we keep him locked up? Yes. Now, Robbie's going to agree with me on this one. And he says the same thing I say. As a libertarian, I don't want people locked up. Of course I don't. I want a fair system. Of course I do. Arrested 14 times, convicted once, and then his own mom puts him away. You need to be locked up, my friend. If that makes me a bad guy, I accept your title. You need to be locked up. If that means forever, then so be it. If you can be repaired, that's fine too, whatever the case may be. You have shown that you are, to Andrea's point, thank you, Andrea, also a libertarian right with me, a threat to society. Not, I assume, could be, maybe. No. You have proven it multiple times. At that point, you get to be locked up. I know you might, but what if it's your son? Of course, I don't want that. Of course, I don't want that, but it doesn't mean it shouldn't happen, right? I never want to get in trouble. Doesn't mean I shouldn't, right? So my desire doesn't mean it should be true. Well, that's what your mind does. But others, that's not true. But my point being, that's terrible. So yes, let me grab if I could. Dugovic, thank you for the $5, my friend. Make public unalivings great again. Problem is, as Fedor Dostoevsky points out, we'll overcorrect and build gulags. Humans cannot measure punishment. Yes, and someone brought that up, and I'm going to cover that, Duke. I'm actually against that. I don't want us to glorify violence. And that's what public unaliving does. It glorifies violence. We should not glorify violence. It doesn't mean we can't put somebody away or do whatever's required, right? But I don't want the unaliving part public. That's not that again is virtue signaling. That's unnecessary. DeCarlos should have been put away, and he should have stayed away for a long time until somehow he can prove that he was no longer violent or no longer in trouble. And they didn't. They simply did what government always does, which is you check the box. You go away for X years, you're out. You put you away with so-and-so, you're out. That's what government always does. There's no way of helping him. There was no way of doing that. It has to work this way. And I know that sucks. But you could do something easy. You could, if you're worried that government cannot measure punishment, I'm not saying you're wrong at all. And of course we'll build gulags, because what will happen? We'll create a prison industrial complex. Of course we will, because that's what governments do. But you could create a system to where you have private organizations that are run by local communities that then judge the guy. I'm not joking. What's wrong with private communities, local communities, where he has to go back into that community, similar to a parole board, similar, but not the same, where maybe you'd have 3 different groups who would locally deal with it themselves, who would be professionals, however the state would decide professional, right, whatever that would be. They would then judge him. If 2 out of 3 say he's safe to come in, he goes back in. And they would listen to the mom, and they would listen to the friends and the victim. They listen to him, similar to a parole board, similar, right? Similar style, but it'd be to go back into that community. Parole board isn't for the community. That community, he's going to go back to his mom's house, right? What's mom saying? Back to that community. What are they all saying? Are they going, this dude, no. Then he stays. If that means 5 minutes, if that means 50 years, how can you find a better system than that? Right? You don't want to have a system to where the individuals in the system themselves have a vested interest in keeping him locked up. You want the community to be like, no, we want him back into our community because he's now good again. We want his mom, him back with his family. If he's good again, if he's not, then he stays. This mom piece is a big piece. It's a big piece. I'm looking over at Rumble. Sheridan says, mom is incredibly strong. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. So, yeah. Straight says Brian Setzer should be a weather forecaster. I would buy that. I could do that. I would take weather forecaster. I would take that. It's fine. He can, tell us when it's going to rain and stuff. That's fine. Okay. I can deal with that. So I know I got a little upset. I know I did. But if you like what you're hearing, then do me a favor. Click the button known as Lima India Kilo Echo. Click that like button. It does matter. If you click it, people will see it. It'll share. People understand it. It's about real things like this. I'm giving you what I think is really important. I'm telling you how we can fix this, and I'll cover that too in a minute. And also repost this. If you haven't shared this, why do you hate the children? Love the children. Don't be an isterophobe. Share this. If you don't share, repost this, you are an isterophobe, whichever one you hate most. You're that one. You're the phobe or ist you hate most. That's you. Or unless you repost this or share it someplace, like on a Facebook group or someplace, then you're not that. That's how you can repent and not be the ist or phobe that you can't stand. See? I'm giving you salvation here. Look at that. Sharpe way gives you salvation. Not too shabby. I like it. All right, let me keep going if I can a little bit longer.
He was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yep.
But after 2 weeks, the courts released him. She refused to let him return home. He became homeless.
Look at this. Okay. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And how many times? Oh, I'm not going to be triggered, D. I won't be triggered. I'll be calm. How many times have I told you that our judges have failed us? Our judges are shit. This is North Carolina judges. They're shit too. They have failed us. Just said, diagnosed with schizophrenia. 2 weeks, let him out. You cured him in 2 weeks. You did that. 2 weeks. Judge said, yep, cured. Judge cured. Out you go. Well done. And he goes home, and his mom says, I want you in the house. You're going to kill somebody. You crazy. Mom cares about her family and knows that her kid, this is his mom. And it's her son. I want you, for those of you who have children, think of how afraid you have to be of your own child for you to abandon your own child. If you have children, I want you to imagine how afraid you have to be of your child to throw your own child out. That's how afraid she was. No, can't come home. So now he's homeless. So the system said, you're a schizophrenic, you're violent. You know what you need to be? Homeless, because what could go wrong? That's what our system did. Our judges yet again failed us. And they keep failing us. Who's talking about judges? Oh, wait, nobody but me. We can about more cops, DA, whatever. The judges are failing us. They are supposed to judge. It's kind of in their fucking name. You're supposed to judge. They don't. They go, well, whatever. What makes my party happy? I'll do that. It's an embarrassment.
He began making crazy and erroneous calls to 911 and had subsequent interactions with the police in which they did attempt to get him to use mental health resources. Unfortunately, voluntary mental health treatments are not going to keep a determined psychotic person off the streets. Now, reacting to the murder, North Carolina Governor Josh Stein, a Democrat, writes on X, I am heartbroken for the family of Iryna Zarutska, who lost their
thoughts and prayers,
their loved one to this senseless act of violence. And I'm appalled by the footage of her murder. We need more cops on the beat to keep people safe. That's why my budget calls for more funding to hire more well-trained police officers. I call upon the legislature to pass my law enforcement recruitment and retention package to address vacancies in our state and local agencies so they can stop these horrific crimes and hold violent criminals accountable. Okay, but
we'll just throw more money at it. That'll work. That's how we'll throw more money at it, because you know what always works? More money. In fact, I'm going to list all the times when money's worked. Okay, I'm finished, because it never works. Ever. And I told you that the Democratic answer will be, we'll throw more money at stuff. Now, he did both. He did throw more money and we'll get more cops. Look at that. He hit both the Democratic and Republican side. Well done. Well done, Governor. You got both. So that was nice. More money and more cops. That's win-win. That is win-win. Let me grab some comments if I can. You guys have so many comments. I know I'm behind. I'll try to be good. Otherwise, Mike will yell at me. I don't want Mike to yell at me. So I'm going to try to get some comments if I can. All righty. Phil says, this is a sad story. It's very important, though. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And there's so much. This could be a 9-hour show. It won't be. I'm not going to be like Mike Voss. I won't be that way. It won't be a 9-hour show. But it could definitely be so much because it shows all the problems that we've had. Right? So All righty. Let me keep going down here. Mike says, okay, rough topic tonight. Please recall we attack issues and not people in the chat. Just a heads up for everyone. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Rick says, if the government has a raison d'etre, it's to protect us from this. And all signs say that this government doesn't do that at all. Yeah, I thought it was my number one job is to keep us safe or whatever garbage they tell us. Remember that? I remember that. Yeah, that didn't happen at all, did it? No, not at all. It didn't. Michael Zona say the situation is a result of zero mental health help, true, plus race politics. True. None of the people on the bus help this woman. Society is breaking. We have a major problem. This is just a symptom. No lies detected. That is an accurate statement. And that is my problem. My problem, Mike, that I've been bringing up is not only, this is why I make that distinction that he didn't kill her, right? He mortally wounded her. I make that distinction for that reason. She could have been saved. That's why I make it, not for any other reason like, oh, he's not a murderer. That's not why I make the distinction. I make it that if people had jumped on board, maybe she could have been saved. But then here's the next part. Mike, he knew it. And this goes back to during the lockdowns when you had so much of the people in New York City, Asian people being attacked. Now, people said, well, it's Asian hate. It actually wasn't that. I know Asian people can be mad for that, but it wasn't that. It was that these men believed that a small Asian person was weak. These were bullying, broken men who believed that a small Asian old woman wouldn't fight back, and they were right. They picked on them not because they were Asian. I mean, it could have been because they were Asian, but not because of a racial issue, because of a weakness issue. They believed this was a weak person that they could attack and hurt with no repercussions. That's why the Asian people were being smacked around and attacked and pushed and beaten here in New York City. Why was she attacked? There were other people there. She was small, frail, white woman. And you can say, Larry, how do you know that? You don't know that. I know that, yes. And we all know that. So please don't give me a racial issue. Well, you don't know. No. Look at the bus. Who was in the bus or the train? So who was in the train? It was black people and one skinny white girl. That's the one he stabbed. You're right. It's a problem. These people are attacking me because they're weak. Now, I'll go on. Did he think anyone was going to help her? No. He thought he could get away with it. And he did. He was right. He could stab her and walk away. He was right. That's true. And that's the sad part. Because no one was going to help her. And he knew it. I wish he was wrong. But he was right. I wish the second he pulled a knife out, somebody would have jumped him, beat him up, grabbed him, held him for the cops. I wish that had happened. No. I wish we would have jumped in. People just left and watched her bleed out. If you watch that video, I'm not going to show it, but if you watch the video, she got stabbed like 3 or 4 times, whatever it was. She whimpered, slumped down, and bled out. That's what actually happened. By the time people who cared to go get her, too late. Too late. Someone had jumped on her right away. Mike, you and I know first day from our Marine Corps days. We might have been able to patch her up. Who knows? We might have been held her. We might have been able to keep her until the EMTs got there. Maybe. Who knows? Could have put a tourniquet on her if that was possible. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if the wounds were. Maybe. Could have patched her up. Who knows? Who knows? But no. And that's the part that gets me even angrier. So, all right. Let me grab a couple more comments if I can. All righty. You guys going back and forth. I appreciate that. All righty. Rick says, such incidents are useful for getting public support for more authoritarian control. Our fear is their power. Yes. Yes. Absolutely true. And this is why there are many reasons. I've got a next step. There are many reasons why mainstream media, left-leaning media didn't cover this. It wasn't just because of race only. That was an issue, but it was something else. They're against Trump putting the troops in the cities. This helps to validate that. It does. Again, I disagree with that shit. I don't want him putting troops in the city. So it doesn't change my mind, but it will change the mind of many. It will get more people to support Trump doing this. It will. It will. That's how it works. They didn't want that. Now, you might go, well, Larry, maybe they shouldn't. You disagree. It doesn't matter if they want it or not. They're supposed to be the news, and they should say what the thing is If they want to have a separate opinion section, it used to be there was an opinion section. Those days are long gone. It used to be, here's the news, and then here is our opinion section. And we just say, my opinion. I think this is all wrong. Trump's the evil guy, whatever. And we're like, okay, that's the opinion side. You gave us the news, and then some guy thinks Trump is awesome, or some guy thinks Trump is terrible. Okay, that was supposedly for us to look at it and go, oh, okay. That doesn't necessarily true. That's his view on it. Okay. Now, opinion is the news. Dude, thank you for the $5. He said, Daniel Penny faced up to 15 years for manslaughter in New York. No one wants to go through that for defending others. Luckily, he won. Could have easily lost. True. Yes. And I thought that somehow he did get him on something. I assumed they would. But when he did not plea, I was like, damn, okay, that's good. Because I assumed he'd plead to something. Because this is terrible, right? It's New York City, right? But no, this I think might be a turning point. This here also might be a turning point. But here's my problem with the turning point. There's a turning point of getting people to defend themselves, which is a good thing. But the bad thing is there is racial undertones. And the racial problems in America are getting worse. You saw I did a show on the concept of black fatigue. I did a show on it, right? I did a show on it. This is going to validate that even worse. It's going to validate that. I'm going to cover that in a second too. It's going to validate that even worse. So yeah, there's a lot of backlash here that I'm not happy about. Really, I am a lot. Shelley says judges need to get locked up. They fail both the perp and the victim. True. Yes, Shelley. Yes. And I hate to say it, but we need to be locking some judges up. It's true. Absolutely true. Yes. John says, my issue is why was he there at all with Fortune arresting him? His mother asked the police to do something about it. Yes. Absolutely. Mike says, I've been too angry about this to talk about it the last couple of days. Mike, I'm with you. And I was thinking, do I want to do this or not? And I'm trying my hardest. I'm trying my hardest to not get triggered because I don't want you yelling at me. Dee gonna yell at me too, so I'm being good. So yes. MW Knox says, I rode that train before. God called me a punk booty ninja because I wouldn't let him use my phone. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, but he didn't stab you though. But yes, because he probably thought that you might fight back, right? That's the issue. He probably thought you might fight back, and that's a piece. So yes. The Liberator says, some people think this happened in New York or Illinois. No, my point exactly. My point exactly. Joel says, Michael Barry played clips of the talking news heads stating how sorry they were for the poor mental health situation. Yeah, because he's the victim here. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. He is a victim. True. But his victimhood is like down the road. He murdered somebody. So you can feel sorry for him, maybe. Okay, the system's broke. I get that. But then how about the person who's dead and the family who's never going to get that back? How about that? How about the judges who let him out? No one's talking about the judges. No one's bringing the judges up. Every one of those judges, every one of them should be publicly shamed. Everyone, they should be publicly shamed for doing that. And this is what I'm promising you, if it ever happens, what every judge will say, guaranteed, I had to follow the law. They will all say that. That's a lie. That's shit they made up. The Constitution's very clear. Judges do not have to follow the law. They made that up. Let me be very clear. Judges made that shit up. Their job is not to follow the law. Their job is to interpret the law. It's in the Constitution. It's in their name. It's not called algorithm enforcer, inquisitor. Their name is judge. The title of their job is not enforcer or follower of the law. The title of their job is judge. That's the title of your job. But no one will care. So yes, there we go. All right, Maz right now, I love this. Speaking of subway murderers, where's the E-list? Well, that was something else I was going to talk about. I had like 45. I told Mike earlier, I'm like, I got 85 things I'm going to talk about. I didn't know which one to pick. It took me forever to pick one. I went down this road because I thought it was the one that had the most impact.
problem here is not actually a lack of beat cops, unless when he says he wants to pay for more police, what he wants is more policing of who gets to use public transportation. Unsurprisingly, Brown was a fare evader. He had not paid to be on the train, and he'd not paid to be on the bus that he took to the train.
So he evaded the fares. Want to talk about that? He didn't pay for the buses. Free buses. That's Mom Donnie's plan. Free buses. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? What could go wrong, Mom Donnie? What could go wrong?
Train. So what this case really highlights, in my view, is the need for, unfortunately, coercive mental health options. And it breaks my libertarian heart to say it, but it's true. Yep. We need to keep dangerous, mentally ill people locked up. If not in prison, then at least in an institution where they can't hurt themselves and they can't hurt innocent bystanders. Let's get serious.
Look, I agree with you. This story should have been covered. I think it was horrific what happened. And I think when you think about somebody who has 14 previous offenses, some of them include like dangerous weapon use, robbery and other things. I was kind of just shocked that this can happen.
Why are you see this? No, she's terrible. I'm shocked this could happen. What? Why? Why do you? She, by the way, she's from New York. She moved out of New York. She moved to Colorado. She left New York. Yo, shot you could happen. Why is it in New York? Now she's back in DC because she got this gig. I don't know why they gave her this gig. Jesus Christ. Hell, what were you thinking?
Still do think that this is a local issue for local police.
Now, why would she bring this up? He didn't mention that. It's still a local issue. Why? Because she has to make sure Trump has no power. So she made this about Trump. This is my other problem. This is what Hotep Jesus was talking about. Yep, this was talking about. Now we're turning this into Trump is bad. Why do I care? People ask me all the time, what do you care about? Why do I care? This Trump doesn't affect this. I mean, he's part of the talking heads, but there's bazillions of talking heads out there talking this trash. He's the only one. He's another one going to talk trash. And, we're going to get more cops, whatever. DOJ's already saying it. The governor's already saying it. More cops, whatever. That's already happening. She made it about Trump. Of course she did.
You know, the governor, the mayor to deal with. I think crime in urban areas is an issue, point blank. I don't think that
see, whatever. It's just an issue, point blank. Did she say that? Did she say that when George Floyd was killed? Did she say, well, people get killed? She didn't say that. Oh, she didn't. This one, it's crime, whatever.
Never said that it wasn't, but I do think that it requires, if it's going to use federal assistance, like let's say in Chicago, where we have
nobody said that. She when wrong. The one thing she's very good at. I got to give her this. She does two things. I tell you all the time that the right will usually will distract, and the left will dismiss. She does both, and very well. I mean, I see what she's doing, but others don't. She will dismiss and distract and dismiss, whatever, as long as she's correct. That's all that matters. She's right. Conservatives are wrong, no matter what the situation is. So she now will dismiss or distract.
A laser focus on, which is why I believe that I can't speak for the Axios reporter, but why they probably try to connect the dots of highlighting crime. I mean, Republicans have largely been the party of law and order for decades since.
Look, so now she attacked Republicans. It's their fault.
Reagan,
clearly. Pretty
much. And that's what they quoted themselves as. So they're going to always push crime issues. So it is beneficial to make sure they're keeping hyper focused on it. It's a winning issue for them. But this is not the time.
It's a winning issue for them.
Never like to play politics around somebody dying.
Okay, that's a lie. I don't play that's a lie.
It's never the time to talk about that. I think there really is reform that's needed, whether it's cops. I mean, I grew up in New York, so whether it's cops in the subway, it matters. If there's fare hoppers, there's usually cops right at each station. They'll catch you and then they'll see. But continuing to arrest this man who's psychotic, like you said.
Yes, that issue. Yeah. Anyway, I think we're done with that piece. I just want you to see that aspect. There may be a little bit more. Let me see if I can get a little bit more if I can.
You said does not solve the root of the issue. So when you think about real meaningful change, to me, it requires local and federal government to come together. And what programs actually will help people?
Programs. She said the word programs. Do you want to vomit yet? Programs. Government programs. What have I talked about for the situation? What have I brought up in the past? I brought up more than once several issues on how you try to fix this. And it's always the same way. Local communities trying to support the people because they actually want to support. There are programs, literally dozens of them in every city to stop this. Dozens of them in every city. I'm sure Charlotte has at least 12, if not 24 of them. New York City has, I don't know, 100 of them, more. There's programs everywhere. Yet still the same thing keeps happening. Could it be these programs never work? Yeah, it could be that. Why? Because government is about checking a box. That's it. I say this all the time. Larry, why do you hate government so much? Because that's why Iryna is dead. That's the reason. Because we keep focusing on government. We keep ignoring community. We don't help each other. We keep waiting for big daddy government to fix everything. It never does. It cannot. And now more and more people die. And now, as I told you all, we learned this lesson from the lockdowns. Communities have forgotten the institutional knowledge, how to defend themselves, help themselves, support themselves. We have to rebuild this. If we don't rebuild this, we keep waiting for big daddy government to make the next thing and more cops and more surveillance and more. We had surveillance. There was a camera, the whole thing. I thought surveillance was the answer. We saw the whole thing. She's still dead. Right? Didn't change a thing. Let's put more cameras in. She's still dead. The people who are doing these things, it doesn't matter. They don't care.
That are repeat offenders and also have mental health issues to stay off the street because his mom didn't want him there.
Right. Yes. She did what she did the responsible thing. My biggest pet peeve is when there's a mass shooter or a killer or something violent happens. We go, oh, why didn't anyone say anything? And then we find out that the family did say something, that they reported to law enforcement repeatedly. She had.
Government fails again and again and again and again and again. And what do idiots like her say? More programs. Red flag laws. What red flag law would have helped this? What gun law would have helped this? None. Mom said, my son is dangerous. Please take him. It's her son. He's dangerous. Please, I don't want him in my house. Please take him. Judges went, nope, out you go. And Iryna's dead.
Him committed for as long as she possibly could. But at some point, a judge or a court said, this violent schizophrenic man who's been in prison and been arrested 14 times, who has schizophrenia, who has a history with weapons, this person, we're not going to keep them. Again, it doesn't have to be prison. We're not going to keep them in an institution. That's crazy to me. We need to expect better from the coercive part of the system to act.
No, there's where he's wrong. There was a system. Let me show you. Hold on. This is done. All that stuff happened. This is what I want to show you. And this is a gentleman who I know. I did a video on him years ago. He goes by the name of King Randall. I think he is in Maryland. Oh, he's Maryland or Georgia. I forgot which one. He's brilliant. And he literally teaches kids, young kids, how to do things with their hands. Black kids. And they go to his house. He has a big house. It's a nonprofit. People write him checks so he can do it. It's a community. Hold on.
That's it. And then you take that goddamn piston thing, you put it back, you get your screw. Simple as that. You hand tighten it. After you hand tighten it, you gonna goddamn get that wrench, turn the other way so you can turn it tight. And now we're gonna tighten it up real good.
None of those kids are going to stab anybody. None of those kids are going to stab anybody. Why? They have a purpose. They have a positive male role model in their life, showing them how to do things, build things, be somebody. None of them are going to stab anybody. None of them. And if any of them were, here's the issue. What if there's one of the kids in there who's going problems and going to go kill somebody? What's going to happen? They are going to stop him. Those young men will stop him because he's part of their community. This is the answer. He is the answer. This is the fucking answer, not programs. I'm showing you the answer.
That's it. And then you take that goddamn.
Did you hear him just say, what is it? Yes, sir. Did you hear him just say that? They say, yes, sir. So they said to this man, you know how old he is? He's in his 20s. I'm not joking. King Randall's in his 20s. He's not 50. He's not 40. He's in his 20s, and he takes these young men in. I spoke years ago, 6-7 years ago, about a plan in New York State that at the end of the year, if you owe the government money, however you owe the government money, whether you owe them via taxes, fines, fees, whatever, you owe money. You can take up the $250 of that money you owe the government and give it to a nonprofit in New York State. If that nonprofit, and it must not be government funded, it must be a non-government funded nonprofit, right? Non-government funded. If it's in your county, double to 500. Well, Larry, it's $500. What's that? How about when 1,000 people do it? 10,000 people do it. You give Randall, you give this man $500,000, he'll build a second house. He will. He'll build a second house. And there'll be another 20, 30, 40 young men like that going, yes, sir, and learning how to build shit. Those guys aren't going to stab anybody. This is the answer. Community has always. I did a show with him like 4 years ago. I remember. If you go on my thing, you'll put in. I had Olivia Rondu. She was working at the time. She went down there and saw him and did a whole thing on him. So I met him. I've met Randall a couple of times. He goes to Freedom Fest. So this is the future. This is what it takes.
Piston thing. You put it back. You get your screw. Simple as that. You hand tighten it. After you hand tighten it, you gonna goddamn get that wrench, turn the other way so you can turn it tight.
They're learning right now.
Now
he's gonna have them do it later.
Good.
Then they'll be doing it, and they'll be learning.
That's it. And then you take that guy.
Do you guys see what I'm saying? You asked me what we can do. That's one of them. There's more than that, of course, but that's one. But here's the opposite. This is the right wing, because the right wing, of course, decides that the answer is just bad, right? Just be more aggressive. This is the more cops. Here is, of course, is it Matt Walsh? Hold on. Let me pop this in if I can. All right. He's going to tell us how we got to fix things now. He's going to give us the answer.
Our current system only gives capital punishment, and then only rarely, to someone who actually kills another person. But what about someone who, through their behavior, has shown a willingness to kill another person?
Okay.
What about someone who is willing to murder another human being just to take their wallet or their shoes or their car?
Okay.
What is the argument? What is the actual argument for waiting until that already violent offender actually kills someone before giving them the maximum punishment?
Max punishment.
I want someone to explain this to me. If a guy walks up to a woman on the street, or a man, points a gun at the person's head and takes their purse or their wallet, why shouldn't that guy be hanging from a rope 24 hours after he's convicted in a court of law?
I wish he was joking. He's not. This is why this is so important, because more people are like, yeah, that's right. Why aren't we lynching people after they rob somebody? He's telling the truth. He believes it.
Why not? Don't give me some platitude. Don't just shout the word compassion at me. Give me.
It isn't compassion. I will give you one. And sadly, not enough people will. But let me give you many. The first one is, just because they're convicted doesn't mean that they actually did it. That's number one. We know that. So I convicted a person, so now I'm going to hang them from a tree. Here's what he said. I convicted you of robbing someone, so you should hang from a tree. He said that. He wasn't joking. He meant it. He actually said that. Yes. Now, again, first off, because he might be innocent. Number one reason, he has no chance to have an appeal, no chance to fix anything. Number one. Number two, hanging someone or a maximum penalty doesn't stop crime. It doesn't. We've done this for a long time. We keep adding stuff. We keep adding punishments. That doesn't stop crime. That's not what stops crime. What stops crime is ending the black market. Maximum penalties. Guys aren't thinking, if I use this, I get this amount of time. They're thinking, if I get caught, I'm screwed. That's what they think. Now, we know this. There used to be very harsh penalties. This was true. It's a thing that Chinese did literally 2,000 years ago. It's actually called legalism. That's the official title of harsh punishments for everything. The official title in anthropology is called legalism. So when you have legalism, you break a law, you pay maximum penalties. Didn't work in China. Hasn't worked ever. Never has worked. Ever. The war on drugs, 3 strikes, you're out. Did drugs go away? No, it doesn't, because it doesn't work. So 1 is because a person can be innocent. 2, it doesn't work. 3, it shows us as having a complete lack of valuing life. It will make us more violent in general. We know this. We know that when there is more violence, people become more violent. How do we know this? We see data. When countries are at war, whether they are being fought in their own country or not, when countries are at war, there is more crime. Both on the battlefront, obviously, and also at the home front, regardless of the war's on their front or not. It makes us more violent. I've given you 3 reasons. What you're thinking of is stupid. You are virtue signaling. Again, this is my worry about the right when it's come. Just more cops. It doesn't work. The left does what the dumb woman said with the, we're just going to have more programs. And this knucklehead goes, just kill them all. You're both wrong. I gave you the answer. It's called community.
An actual argument.
I just did.
It would certainly make our communities much safer if we started executing.
Did you hear what he just said? This moron just said it would make our community safer if we just start executing people, because that always works. He's not joking.
Armed robbers. If we responded with that kind of brutal decisiveness to violent criminals, there's no question that it would make our communities much safer. So why?
Look at that. If we just one more gulag. This guy's supposedly a right-winger. Supposedly. Just one more gulag, and then it'll all be great. I wonder why you're
shouldn't we do it?
I just gave you the reasons why.
Here's the question.
Okay, tell me.
Is the cost of having much more dangerous communities worth the benefits of keeping guys like DeCarlos Brown alive?
Yes. Yes, they are. Now, he shouldn't be free. True. Yes. And the reason why is for every one DeCarlos Brown, there are 25 people who are felons who can get their life straight. That's why. There's lots of people who are felons who, when they get out, square themselves away. It happens. We should have more of them. That's why. That would be the reason. I've given you your answer. Yes, it is. Now, it doesn't mean he should be free, but that's not what he said. He said kept alive. Yes. 100. It's like, well, is freedom worth the chance someone might rob you? Yes, it is. But what we should do is allow us to defend ourselves. Allow us to defend ourselves. And if I choose to defend myself, and maybe I want to put a round in somebody because they're attacking me, well, then I can. So to answer your question, Mr. Authoritarian, Mr. I guess conservative, whatever you think you are, yes to your question. 100%.
Does anyone think the answer to that question is yes?
Yes, me. And our founding fathers, all of them thought that too. All of them thought that. That's why we have in our Bill of Rights no cruel and unusual punishment. So all of them thought that, and me. So that's a couple people right there. Yes.
So that the benefit is that we guys like DeCarlos Brown, we get to keep them alive.
Yep. And all the other people who aren't schizophrenic, who broke the law because of the black market and want to fix their lives, which there are literally tens of millions of them in America today, right now. Tens of millions of them today, right now, who are getting their life together. Yes, those.
And the cost is that our communities are very unsafe and people.
That's not true. You made it up. The cost is not that. You can just lock the people up and not kill them. See, there's my problem. His answer, he goes to the other straw man. She goes to, well, Trump is bad and let's have programs. That's the left's answer. And the right answer is, let's just kill him. Yeah, more cops and we're just hanging from a tree. He said that. We're hanging from a tree. Nothing wrong with that. That's worked. Never. That has worked literally never.
Iryna died. What do we think about the cost-benefit analysis there?
I gave you one.
Look, I've been making this point for a long time.
And you've been wrong for a long time.
As a society, we have 2 choices.
Only 2.
Okay, only 2.
Only 2.
Either we are going to inflict severe, merciless suffering on the criminals.
We're going to just kill people in the streets. That's option 1. That's it. So we're basically going to be a fascist regime, option 1. What's option 2?
Violent degenerates, the sociopathic predators, the
ne'er-do-wells. What that group of people in Germany in 1940s used to do. The people who weren't good for the community. We just put them away in camps, and then we had a solution for them. It was a fine old solution for them. We had that. You want that? I think you do.
dysfunctional, the barbaric.
Dysfunctional people. Take care of them. I didn't say it, he did. I didn't say it, he did. I hammered the left, now I'm hammering the right.
Or we're going to allow severe, merciless suffering to be inflicted on the innocent.
That's it. There's literally no other answer. And again, he said, one or two. We're either going to basically be those guys with the armbands in Germany in 1940. We're going to be the armband guys. That's option 1. Option 2, everybody dies. Well, bust out the armbands. Let's do it. I told you, and I wasn't joking, if we don't fix this, Gen Alpha is building the camps. And he is going to lead them. He is going to lead them into building the camps. Yes. I wish I was joking. I give you receipts. Mike has bad news. Thank you, member, for 3 months. King Rando has a current campaign to raise money for the school for the rest of the year. Can Mod drop the link in the chat? Yes, please, if you would. I love Rando if you have that. I have no problem, guys. If any of you want to drop that link in the chat, please do so. 100%. Thank you, Mike. I'm a big fan of Rando. He's great. So if you've got some extra cash you want to throw us where you can. And of course, if you want to throw some cash my way, you also may. Whoever you think is important. I don't mind either way. If you happen to have lots of cash, I hope you all have lots of cash. If you do, please not only give him, but also become a member on YouTube. $49 per month. Click that join button. Pick up the membership so that the more members I have, the more time I can spend on this, and the less time I have to spend, and I won't be late all the damn time. Less time I can spend working because I forgot what I was doing here. So yes, that was tough. Of course, it was rant me, or if you don't want to rant me, you can also super chat me, whichever one. You can do either one of those. So yeah, the problem is we don't have a good answer for the left or the right. The answer I talked about is fixing our world, right? That's the issue. So yes, if you want to rant me, please do so. If you want to become a member, that'd be awesome. And of course, if you see the link, please pop that link up and help out there over at King Rando. He's great. I'm looking over at Rumble. Thank you for the rant, Phil. This isn't the major issue, but do you think this type of attack keeps people off of mass transit, white flight? It does. It's another valid point. We're already in trouble with many states, people leaving our states and such, and you're finding white flight everywhere. It's true. There's some kind of percentage. They've done a study on this. It's like once a neighborhood has X percent black people. I don't remember what the number is, but there was a study on this. All of a sudden, you start seeing white people start leaving. White flight's a real thing. It is. And this makes things worse. But here's the reality. And I said it when I talked about the idea of black fatigue. It actually isn't black fatigue. It actually isn't. That's the name of it. So yes, it is the name, but it isn't actually the thing. The actual thing is selfish culture fatigue. That's what it actually is, because there's Hispanic and white people do it also. Sadly, it is linked directly to black culture, and there's a huge chunk of black culture that follows it. That's true, right? So that's why it's called black fatigue, but it isn't actually black fatigue. It's selfish culture fatigue. That's what it actually is. This is part of it. So this makes it worse. So Sheridan says, if the gangs would bang the thieves, then the neighborhoods would be safer. The unfortunate truth is that Reno, Nevada was more fun when the mafia was running the city. Well, what's funny is there are people who would rather have the mafia. I'm not making this up. You ask what they would say that, because they would say, at least when there was a mob, there were rules that people understood, and they didn't attack people unless you were in the game. Then you were attacked. Other people were considered civilians and were off limits. That was actually a thing. And there was stability because, violence, that's not good for business. And the mobs are making cash more than it is. The mobs aren't about violence. They're about making money. They use violence as a way of enforcing their rules because they don't have courts and cops, right? The government has a monopoly in theory on violence. So that's why it's used that way. But you're not wrong. There are people who still think that to this day. And I wish that wasn't true, but it is true. You're right. So, all right. I was talking about the differences between, what happened with George Floyd and what happened here and how people were thinking and such. And there was interesting thing that I saw that I thought you guys might enjoy. And do you know where I saw it? Yeah, it was on Civil. It was. And every single show I give you, I show you something interesting that you can find on Civil. And this was actually from just last year. And it was debate back and forth about George Floyd. Who's right about George Floyd? Coleman Hughes, and Radley Balco both had a debate. And they talked about these issues. And it's interesting because you get, again, two sides, people going back and forth.
This is just asking
questions.
Errors and errors of omission and publishing something that's deeply misleading is not to debate and discuss those issues. It's to either issue a correction or a retraction, or to explain why you don't think a retraction or correction is.
Now look what Coleman's doing now. He's writing stuff down. Why? He wants to rebut. He doesn't want to insult, right, Radley. He doesn't want to insult Radley. He doesn't want to say you're dumb or you're stupid. He wants to actually be able to rebut him. This is an actual conversation on George Floyd. Where can you get that? That's not easy to find. Usually it's George Floyd was evil and I'm glad he's gone. He's a bad guy, drug dealer. Or George Floyd just saying he's the greatest guy in the world. Oh my God, right? Both of those are wrong. There is a middle ground. There is a real conversation that can be had between what was actually happening. And now you can listen and actually think, wait a minute. Am I right? If so, why? Am I wrong? If so, why? Should I rethink this? And how does it affect other things? And most importantly, why does it matter past just this thing? This is what Civil does. Civil allows you to have conversations like this and to hear actual back and forth, not blood sport, not the conflict machine, not that. You have actual back and forth with people who are going to say, here is why I believe what I believe. And you now can go, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. I don't get that. Either way you can do it. And that's what matters. You want to join Civil? CIVL.com. When you join, put the code in Larry, L-A-R-R-Y. It's 50% off for the entire year. $25 for the year, not $25 a month, $25 for the entire year. And every show, I show you something interesting. Every show. There's so much good stuff on Civil. You're not going to get tired. You will keep enjoying it. Oh, what am I doing? I'm hanging out tonight. Let me see what's on Civil. You can see it. Go in a search bar and put in George Floyd. Boom. This pops up. You will get things like this again and again and again. It is Civil. Look, we're trying to upgrade civilization, get people to think about what matters here. It's about what you see here is respectful conversation, basic human respect. Here on Civil, CIVL.com, code Larry, $25 for the entire year. You're a sponsor for the show, partner for the show, help out. There it is. Thank you for that, guys. I appreciate it. So let me keep going with some more comments if I could. I have so many of them, and I do appreciate the comments. I'm going to walk down here if I can. All righty. John says, yes, people walking away or just sitting there was sad, but it would have been hard to save her even with medical knowledge. She was losing too much blood too fast. Yeah, maybe, John, to be forward. I just said maybe Mike could have saved her. I don't know if we could have. You're right. It's possible she was done for, but we don't know that. We don't know. Maybe we could have saved her. I mean, maybe we'll find out later. Maybe they'll tell us, oh, no, she was whatever. But if you watch the video, she was slumping for a while and still whimpering. So she was alive for several minutes. Could we have stopped it? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it was too deep. But look, I got to be honest. I got to be forward. What would I have done? I don't know. I live in New York City. I've been trained to guard mind and mind only. And I know that sounds horrible, and it is horrible. I'm just telling you the truth. If he was coming at my kids, I have two daughters. If he comes at my kids with a knife, I'm just being very, I don't say it publicly, I don't care. He's going to the morgue. I don't care if I go to jail. I'm going to jail because I know that. That's how New York City works. If he comes at my daughters, I'm going to jail. He's going to the morgue. I will guarantee that shit. That's going to happen if he comes at my daughters. And I accept the outcome. I accept that outcome. That's where the city I live in. That's how it works. I defend my daughters. I go to jail because it's against the law in New York City, New York State to defend your kids. You can't do that. That's against the law. You have to let them be killed and stabbed by people. You have to. I will not do that. So I go to jail. He goes to the morgue. I am offing him. He is going to the morgue. I'm going to jail. I get it. I accept that as true. Maybe my life is over. Whatever. My kids are alive. I'm prepared to sacrifice my own children. Am I prepared to sacrifice for a stranger? I have a hard time honestly saying that I would or wouldn't. I honestly don't know. I've never been in that situation. I was in a situation more than once where there was a challenge to me when my kids were around, and I stood my ground completely, and I was prepared to put somebody in the morgue and to put myself in jail. I was prepared to do so. So I know I would do that. That has already happened to me in New York City. I'm aware of that. So I know that's true. For somebody else, I don't know. And Joel says it. We need more Daniel Pennies. Yes. We need more people who would say 100% yes to that. Here's what I would say, Joel and John. I hope I would be a Daniel Penny. I hope I would be. I don't know if I would. I hope I never had that situation. I hope I never have to find out, because I don't know if I would. Now, would I move to save her after he walked away? 100% yes. Not even close. Would I try to stop a man with a knife for a stranger in New York State, knowing that I might get myself harmed and I'm definitely going to jail? Like, I'm going to jail. That's going to happen. So I'm going to have a record. I'm going to jail. I'm going to be stuck in jail they're not going to let me out. I mean, for months, maybe years if I even get acquitted, right? Or I might just be in jail for the next 10, 20 years. I might be in my life. Who knows? Would I do it for sure? I don't know. Here's what I would say. I hope I would do it. I hope I would do it. Morgan, what are your thoughts about the 3 witnesses on the video that didn't intervene? I gave you the answer. They've been trained not to. I've been trained not to. They've been trained not to. That's the issue. They have absolutely been trained to not care, to not move in, to do nothing. Yes. All right. Let's see here. Mike goes, Larry, it wasn't missed, it was avoided. Left me, didn't have a way to spin it for the race/political spin. True. I think it's accurate. I was saying, even if I give them benefit of the doubt, it still comes back to that, right? If they had missed, like, I don't know, the first 12 hours, I'm making that up, right? If they'd, then maybe it's possible, but they missed days. They were like, well, let's just go away already. Can we just put this away? And they're like, how do we spin it? Well, spin it as Trump bad. That'll be the spin. Yes. Dave says, Trumplicans are complaining that New York Times didn't report on this. What Trumplicans don't understand is New York City has crazy people riding the subways. Why would they report on this? Because of the reasons I mentioned, Dave. This is news for other reasons. There's many reasons why it's news. So yes. Another wonderful secret says, this train tragedy involving the Ukrainian woman has really been a hot topic in the ecosystem of the American far right. I wonder why. It's hard to figure out why they love this so much. They don't love this. That's not true. They don't love this. That's not true. They're covering it because it validates many issues, of course, but they would have covered it anyway. The right covered George Floyd too, right? I mean, not the way I'm sure you would have liked them to, but they covered George Floyd. The left has now covered this, and they covered it in, of course, the way that a lot of people don't like either, but it doesn't matter. But they should have covered it. The fact they didn't cover it is wrong. They should have absolutely covered it. So she goes on to say, Rip Iryna, I haven't seen conservatives this thrilled and excited about something since the Church of Annunciation tragedy. Congrats on these guys. That's cruel for you to say. That's cruel. And most of the time when you come on the show, you insult the right, which I did too, but I actually showed data and the reason why I thought what he's saying was wrong. It wasn't a national, it wasn't an insult. I was explaining why this guy was wrong. I think that guy was wrong. That's why I said that. You're just insulting. And the problem with that is the same thing I talk about. As you insult more and more and more, you just make them hate you in return more and more. So when you try to convince them that you are right, they won't hear you. Or they will never hear me. If that's true, you're already finished. I hope you're wrong. People do change. That is true. You see it. It does happen. The insults don't help. The insults don't help. I say it all the time. They don't help. So, Duke of X, thank you for the $5. Concealed carry is equalizer. We should at least have the ability to be armed in public for own protection. Yes, if I had a firearm, now in New York City, I can't. I will go to jail and my life is over. Ask Dexter Taylor. You can't. Again, I'm not allowed in New York City. If I had a firearm and that guy drew a knife, somebody would have visited the morgue that evening. That would have happened, right? That would have happened. He would have visited the morgue that evening. And probably the difference is if you're paying attention and you have a firearm, and we saw this happen at the church shooting in Texas years ago, someone paying attention with a firearm can stop a lot of death, right? That one guy who came into the church in Texas, I think, fired one round before he was put down. So he stabbed like 3-4 times, whatever it was. He might only had to stab her once before someone yells, stop. He looks, tries to stab again, and then is affected by a long-range hole puncher. So if he's affected by the long-range hole puncher, he doesn't stab anymore. And if that happens, then maybe she lives. Maybe only one stab, and maybe she didn't lose so much blood. Maybe she lives. Maybe she's got a scar and she's traumatized, but she's alive and she can get over it, right? I would rather her be alive and get over it than be dead. So yes, I agree with you. And again, New York City, you can't do that. And they're going to say, see, this is what we need. More of this, more of that. Yes. Mike has bad knees says, the right's answer seems to be, let's start a race war. Sadly, you're right. This is the part that bothers me too. But it isn't just the right. Hold on. I thought somebody might say this. This is the left, Mike. It isn't just the right. It is radicals on both sides. And this is from Twitter. Thoughts on DeCarlos Brown. He is the natural response to 400 plus years of white oppression. Expect more just like him. Then there was a guy who was saying there's no other way of doing it except violence. And here's what I would ask all of you who think this is true. I don't know why you would think this is a good idea. And if you are a young man of color, or whatever you want to say, and you think, and I see it all the time, this is how we got to be violent, got to be blah, 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 blah. You're not going to win. People have done studies on this, multiple people, anthropologists, historians, whatever. When it comes to internal battles, fascists always win. Every time. Now, externally, they don't. Internally, they always win. It's how it works. You ain't beating them. The communists fought the Germans in the streets. They lost. The monarchists tried to fought the communists, fought the fascists in the courts. They lost. In the streets too. They lost. The Spaniards fought them all over the place. The Spaniards fought them all over. In the mountains, in the woods, everywhere. They lost. You don't beat them. For you to think you're going to beat fascists in a fight, in a battle, you're fooling yourself. The only way you beat fascists is through culture. That's how you beat them. Remember something. Happy people don't want authoritarianism. Unhappy people do. Fascism and authoritarianism is a symptom of a deeper problem. That's how it actually works. You think because evil people, you don't understand how shit works. We're not that special. We're just humans. I know we all think we're special. I mean, I'm special, but some people are special. Yeah, some are. My team's pretty special. Anyway, point being, happy people don't accept that. Unhappy people do. And the more you insult, anger, divide, and make people unhappy, the more they do it, which is why I'm telling you, Gen Alpha's building the goddamn camps. And we're going to stop it, respond to oppression. He's going to camp. Or he's going to a morgue. So let's stop it before it happens. Let's stop it before it happens. Okay, I get all uppity. I got to stop. So anyway, let's see here. E6022 says, let's not forget Jose Alba. Yes, also defending himself, went to jail. Yes. MW Knox says, as a CLT resident, that's, by the way, Charlotte, I'm filled with rage. Our dumbass governor's answer is more cops. Yep. The cops did their job. The problem is he was released instead of kept in prison or psychiatric facility. Yes, the cops did their job. They arrested him and they put him in jail. And the judge went, out you go. And the cops arrested him again. The cops arrested him 14 times. What else you want cops to do? You're right. The cops arrested him 14 times. What else do you want the cops to do? They're doing their job. They're arresting the guy. Again, 14 times. Is 15 times? No, cops, you suck. You didn't arrest him 15 times. I don't understand. It's crazy. There's no requirement for that, right? There's no requirement. I don't know what else. Anyway, let me keep moving on if I could. Yes. Mastermind says there could have been a cop in that car. I'm not sure about that. Mastermind always says there could have been a cop in that car and it wouldn't have changed a thing. It might have. And again, remember, these people, when I say these people, I don't mean black, so stop. Meaning people who are sick or ill and who want to, very often, the people who are violent, to be very clear, most people who have any form of mental illness are not violent. The vast majority are not violent. That's the ones we see are the ones who are. Most are not violent. And those who are violent, most of them are violent, more violent towards themselves versus others. So relative to the amount of people who have mental illness, very few of them are actually violent against others, but some are, obviously, and he's one of them. That person still thinks in their head, how do I get away with it? I hit the weakest one constantly. How often do these people attack people who are strong and defended? Almost never. They attack churches and schools and women on trains. So they're not attacking cops. So I disagree. If a cop had been on that car, he wouldn't have done it. My problem is I don't want a cop in every car. But to be forward, if there was a cop in every car, that probably wouldn't have happened. That's true. But I don't want a cop in every car. We got cameras. They saw him. They attack the weak. That's what you see constantly. They attack the weak. So I do think that a cop would have stopped it. I just don't want a cop in there. So yes. Faithful Friend says, besides the criminal factor / element, we also have a major mental health crisis. 100% true. We are broken. And I'll go off topic on this because another thing I want to bring up. And that, believe it or not, is drugs and food. Mr. RFK Jr., which everyone's mad at. Oh, he's crazy. He's just, this and that and the whole deal, right? He's nuts, right? Are you telling me medicine and food and drugs and environment isn't part of the equation? I don't know how much the equation is. I have no idea. Right? I don't have any data saying it's 10%, 5%, 100%. I don't know. But at least someone's now saying, hey, wait, this is a problem too. And there is more data showing that the better you eat, the less drugs you're on, the less medicine you're taking, the less chance you are of being violent. Data is popping up showing that. Yes, maybe we should care about that piece too. There's a huge problem. Our answer is take a pill and go home. That is American mental health. Take a pill every day and go home. If you forget your pill, oh well. If you don't go home because you're going to beat up your mom, oh well. We'll arrest you after you do the bad thing. And then we'll let you out to go back again. So yes. Morgan says, just so that Tennessee became the first state to enact gun safety courses for all students. Is the nation finally getting it? I hope so. I hope so. Mike has bad news says, death penalty is not a deterrent. True. It is not. It is not at all. It doesn't help. Yes. Morgan says, not even dead children can bring us together. Yeah. Yeah. Dave says, Fox News, federal charges for suspect. Useless. I know. But that'll get it because, yeah. Mike has bad knees says, as usual, I agree with Hotep Jesus' point. Oh, excuse me. Oh, got a frog in my throat. Hold on one second, guys. I said he gets spicy though. Hotep Jesus does get spicy sometimes, so he can be scary. But yeah, yes, it's true. Alrighty, let me walk down here if I can. It looks like people would like Stetzer to be a barista. I would buy that too. I would buy that also. Yes, I think it's true. Yes. Elliot says pawn ship is irrelevant, and you would struggle to draw a line between Floyd and this guy. I'm not sure where you're going with that. I think pawnship is relevant because we don't solve the problem, Elliot. We just decide that we want to push our own agenda because of it. So if it's George Floyd, we push the idea of all cops are bad. If it's this guy, we push the idea of we need death penalty and more cops. So that's why it matters. That's why, and that's the line I would draw. The line I would draw is twofold. One, both are examples of systemic failure that we have not fixed or repaired. We've learned nothing since George Floyd, and we'll learn nothing here because there'll be pawns. We won't solve any problems. I showed you one simple answer. There are many of them. That was obviously just one, but I showed you many of them. But they won't do that. You won't see people rocking and rolling to try and make more King Randalls. No. You won't see them change anything. No. You'll see more cops or whatever. That's what you'll see. So E206022 says, call some racist enough, eventually they'll agree with you. It's true. It works every time. If you just keep insulting people, then they will eventually go, you know what? Now I love you. That's how it works. You just got to insult more and then be spicier in your insults. Then there we go. Yes. All righty. Phil says, I noticed in Troy, there were some white girls who be picked on by black girls and became racist as a defense mechanism. It's not a healthy reaction, but it's natural. Yeah, this is the issue that some people don't get. I think most people don't get. And that is when people are angry, they want, or hurt or scared, they want to say the thing that will hurt you the most. So if someone's mad at me and they want to hurt me, they may say something horrible, racist, whatever, sex, whatever the case may be, not because they're racist or sexist, but because they want to hurt me. So they will use that phrase in an attempt to hurt. You might go, but they're still racist. It doesn't matter. It's not helpful. It's not helpful to do that. It doesn't matter. Well, he'd only say it if he was racist. That's insanely fucking stupid. No, people say all types of horrible things because they want to hurt people because they're emotional. That's what people do. We're emotional and we say stuff that we shouldn't say all the time, every day. And you do it too. Whoever's listening saying that's just racist. I would never say something racist. Shut up. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. And you probably do to your friends. So stop. Of course you do. And that's human. Doesn't mean you're racist. It means you're angry and you're emotional and you said some shit you shouldn't say. That's what it means. So those white girls, yeah, I get why they would say it. Now, do you want to becoming racist sometimes? Yes. You can become it because now the person who picks on you, and this is what's funny, is you will find people tease about this. I've seen people do it. I've seen black women in it chatting and go, oh, she's a racist. What a black man, beat him up or whatever. A black woman yelled at her. That's why, like giggling. And I'm like, no, that's what happened. Literally, that's not a joke. That's what happened. And now you have a racist because that happened. So you probably should have tried to stop that from happening instead of jumping on board. Anyway, user has been banned says, I've heard it called Why America. Oh, interesting for Weimar Republic. Yeah, I like that. That's cute. That's cute. Yeah. Master Manal says Elon will get their AI girlfriends to film the build the camps. They're already doing it. Yeah, the AI girlfriend's already there. 100%. Yes. E622 says the British put the first camps for the Boers. Oh, right. Yes. Always camps. Always camps. Gene says, I wish you were joking. Yeah, I wish I was too, but no. Yes. Robert says, Larry's 100% right. Thank you, my friend. Yes. Yes. So Elliot says, Floyd is a piece of S, but his predicament is totally unrelated to this man's main issue. Agree on both points. Look, Floyd wasn't a great guy. I think that's true, but it doesn't matter. Not for either of them. Floyd's background, whether he was a bad guy, a criminal, whatever he was, doesn't mean he should have been killed. They're not related. They're not. Now, if Floyd was attacking somebody and killing somebody or whatever, and they were defending themselves, sure, of course, you got to defend yourself. Yes, but that wasn't happening with Floyd. So it doesn't matter, is my point. This guy's matters because he should have been in jail still and should have been out. There's a difference, right? So there is a difference, but neither one matters. They're not related in that regard. They're related in a different way. I hope that makes sense at least. So Phil goes on to say, the Spanish built camps in Cuba, and they copied the American reservation system. Yes. Absolutely, yes. It's always that way, isn't it? Michael says, prisons are managed in ways that fuel racist ideology. 100%. 100%. You go to prison, if you're not racist when you go there, you'll be racist when you come out. You'll be racist when you come out. Yes. Peace, thank you for the membership, my friend. Our nation is divided. Eating bad food and exercising leads to mental health issues. True. Are we divided because we're being poisoned by our food? I don't think we're divided because of that. What I would say is when people are unhappy and unhealthy, they're more open to being divided. That's what I would say. What RFK Jr. said many things. One of the things that stuck with me was he said, when someone has a chronic illness, they only have one dream. That's not to be sick. When you're healthy, you have many dreams, right? So when I'm healthy, I have many dreams. I can do this, I can do that, I can achieve this, I can achieve that. But when I have a chronic illness, I have only one dream. One dream. I don't want to be sick anymore. So how can I be thinking about the future thing bigger? And if I have a chronic illness and it's not my fault, or if I don't know if it's my fault, either way, it doesn't matter. If I don't know, well, then I got to blame somebody. Well, what does division do very well? Blame people. It's those people, whoever those people are. So if I lean left, it's the right-leaning people. I lean right, it's the left-leaning people, whatever. It's those people. It's those people. It's their fault. Makes me feel a whole lot better about myself now, right? Because I can blame those people. And that's the reason why I'm in this bad situation right now. We have unhappy people. Unhappy people love blaming people. So we blame somebody. There we go. Straight in. I'll give you $2, my friend, over on Rumble says, until I became an old man, I was prejudiced of men with gray beards. Until you got one yourself? Yeah. Then you were like super prejudiced against it because it was you. So yes. Jake from the Dank Farm says, should we punish for a hate crime charge? No. And I know you might go, Larry, what? No. Hate crimes are not crimes. I mean, it shouldn't be crimes. They are, sadly, they shouldn't be crimes. You should be punished for the action that you took. And if it was premeditated or not. It doesn't matter why you did it. In other words, when I went to harm someone, was I actively trying to harm the person? Did I think about it and plan it and have every intention to do so? Was it a mistake? Was it a problem? Did I mean to do something else? Those are factors you should put into place with what crime you're charged with, how much you should be punished, whatever your retribution should be. Those are all make sense, right? What did I say? I want to go harm this person, plan it, go do it. Or did I make a stupid move, a mistake, and it's still punishment, but it's a different level? That makes a little sense. I did it because the guy was white, because the guy was black. So did I plan it? Yes. Punishment, worse than if you didn't plan it. Was it a mistake? Yes. Less punishment, right? It is the race is irrelevant. It is stupid. Hate crimes, without question, make more racism. Let me say it again so you're clear. Hate crimes don't stop racism. Hate crimes make more racism. And again, you see it. Because now everything you do, it's because race, everything's race. No, sometimes you're just a bad person doing bad things. No matter what, if you harm people, your actions you should be responsible for. No matter what. Doesn't matter. Did you steal from somebody, defraud somebody, harm somebody, kill somebody, whatever. You should be punished for that. I don't care what the race of the person was. Oh, but it's terrible because it's anti this or anti. I don't care. It's dumb. It makes things worse. You're seeing it right now, by the way. You're seeing how we make everything racist makes more racism. Why do you think black fatigue's a thing? We are fueling it with things like, just like DEI. DEI makes more racism. It makes more racism. And you see it everywhere. If you don't agree with that, you don't have to if you don't want to, you're not paying attention. All these things are harmful. They're not helpful. They're harmful. So, Jake, I hope that answers your question. Hate crimes are just punish people for harming others. And what will happen is there will actually be less of it. So, yes. All righty. Let's see here. Dave says, Larry, Trumplicans will demand opening up mental hospitals and bringing back lobotomies. Most of them know what they see on TV or in movies 50 years ago. The issue I have is there's a part of that makes sense. Like you do want to Open mental hospitals, right? I mean, I think that's not a bad thing, but I don't want them government run. I want them community run. So yes. K. John says, Larry, when you say we have to fix this, how do you, or do you have any optimism that can be achieved in the near future? I can't see a way out because of our great divide and truth suppression. Yes, there is a way. The problem is it's not 5 minutes. We have had this hammered into us for so long that it doesn't get fixed in 5 minutes. It's a decade or more of repair. It is getting people to believe that we can make things work. It's getting people to believe that things can get better. Most people don't believe it. They're only worried about stopping the other. They're only worried about stopping the other. We have to get them to believe it's not just stopping the other. It's also helping people. And the one way we do that is by building community. Community is the answer. It has always been the answer, right? All of you who saw what King Randall was, what I just showed you what Randall was doing, every one of you who saw that were like, that's amazing, that would work. None of you were like, that's dumb, that will never work. All of you were like, yeah, that could work. Wow, that could really, I wish I had that. Yeah, because that is the answer. That's the answer. He gets kids out of the community and brings them in. And you heard them, Cage, and they were like, yes, sir, we do this. Okay. And if you watch his stuff, you can check him out on X, right? He's on X. He's on Facebook. You can check him out. He's doing great stuff all the time, constantly. He's just getting young men to have purpose. And when they have purpose and community, they don't stab people. This part's not rocket science, Kayjon. When you give young men, whether they're black or white or Hispanic or Asian, does not matter. If you give young men community and purpose, they don't stab people. They don't join gangs. They have community and purpose. No requirement of a gang. They don't join gangs. In fact, they would stop gangs. They would make gangs irrelevant because there'd be no more recruits. Got to have recruits for gangs. Well, they're all here. They're not going to be there. That is the answer, right? Remember the old song, the YMCA song. Remember that? People going to the Y. That's what they would join that. They would join groups like that. Yes, absolutely. So Robert says, one of the things that I can't agree with is this idea that liberal judges didn't want to jail him. He had recently done a 5-year bid. No, Robert, you're wrong on that. They did not want to jail him. They didn't want to keep him in jail. The issue is he was arrested 14 times, only put away once. Now, you might go, well, maybe he was innocent 13 times. He was not, and you know he wasn't. You know he wasn't, right? He was not innocent 13 times. He was not. You know it. I know it. Is there a chance that someone could have been? Maybe 1 in 1,000 or 2,000, whatever number, that someone's arrested 13 times, they're innocent. I guess like a lottery number could happen. But no, he was not. You know it. I know it too. So he was only put away once out of 14 arrests. And again, he was literally diagnosed with schizophrenia, 2 weeks later released. I think it's obvious. And I'm not even saying it's liberal judges. I didn't say liberal judges. I said judges have failed us. Even conservative judges have failed us. So you don't hear me saying liberal judges. That's the thing people say. I don't say that. Our judges, both Republicans and Democrats, have failed us. This isn't just liberal ones. It's all of them. They don't do it. So I hope that at least answers your question. Patty says, Trump and maybe RFK Jr. need to work rapidly on HIPAA regs. Exceptions to that when a parent has a severely mentally ill child, adult child. In addition, they can hopefully build or extend inpatient facilities that are nice, clean, and up to par, not like prison environment. We need better. We treat cancers, heart disease, but don't give up mentally ill the candidate in true crisis. Pat, the problem is a government can't do it. This has to be supported by local people. It's the only way. If you look, and I'll give you the best example I can give you. Best example I can give you. The number, one of the highest, if not the highest, chances of someone to not be an addict anymore, right? Whether that addiction is drugs, alcohol, gambling, narcotics, whatever it is when they have a local community, their local support system, the NA or the AA or the GA. Now, GA and A aren't magic. They don't work every time. But if you look by percentage of what systems work, government systems fail all the time. They do not work. Community answers do work at a higher percentage. They're not magic. People still fail. But if you're looking at what's my highest chance of success, it's going to be something like an AA or GA, or often church groups are also very effective also. They're community groups that know, and they're often run by former addicts, not by eggheads who came out of Harvard. They're run by former addicts of that same addiction, whether that addiction was gambling or narcotics, alcohol, whatever. That's what works. So I don't want them. I want them to change the exceptions and the regs, of course. I do not want them to build facilities. I want them to support community to build them. That we can see has worked again and again and again. Yes. Elliot says, I clicked like, Larry's too powerful. It's true. I am powerful. Thank you for that, guys. I appreciate it. Yes. So, all righty. Let me keep here. I got to keep going down here. Robert says, the conversation should be how woefully unprepared prisons are for rehabilitation. I say all the time. That's my entire point, Robert. You're right. Prison does one thing, and it doesn't even do it well. It's supposed to be there to keep them out of trouble for a while. I get it. It doesn't even do that well. But then that should be it. Now move on. Now move on and do something else. And with that local community, something like that. It has to be that way. So, yes. All righty. Trump talks about some judges. He does, but the ones who pissed him off. So, yes, he's just the ones who piss him off. So that's the only issue. Just the ones who piss him off. And I get it conceptually, but yeah. And he says, I don't like cash bail because it hurts the poor. We do need judges to weigh the whole situation to keep those locked up who are actually a threat. Well, this is the issue. I agree with you. I don't like cash bail either. The concept of bail reform was a good concept. It was just implemented terribly. But the idea of bail reform is you want to have fairer bail, of course, but you can easily solve this problem. Make it by, say, I don't know, first-time offenders, right? This guy, again, arrested 14 times. You're not innocent. I don't mean to be cruel. You're not. The odds of you being innocent with 14 arrests are astronomical. They're astronomical. Is it possible? Yes. It's winning the lottery. It's okay. Yes. See, Missy has the answer because money fixes everything. True. Money does fix everything. I'm glad you figured that out. I appreciate that. Yes. All righty. K. John, thank you for a membership gift. Thank you. Yes. Gift the membership, guys. Grab a Sharpe my membership if you would. I appreciate it tremendously. And membership counts. Please do that if you can. I always appreciate that. Yes. So, all righty. Andrea says she was a small petite woman. Yes. Matter goes, she was tiny. Yes. Weekend wasn't looking. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. He goes after that one. That's what they always go after every single time. They don't go after, they don't go after strong people. They go after weak people all the time. Yes. So, all right. Okay. Hold on. Dude, he's telling me to shut up. He loves me, but it's retarded. You are over-rationalizing towards imagining a teleporting superhero who will suddenly save her. Is that for me? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm following, if it's for me, I don't know if it's, I can't always tell who it's for. If it's for me, I'm following what actually happened in Texas. Literally, what actually happened in Texas. A guy pulled out a firearm and started shooting. A guy who was paying attention drew his firearm, and the guy got one shot off. He didn't suddenly save her, but the guy got one shot off versus he would have gotten more shots off. My point is, if a guy was paying attention and saw this guy grabbing for something, whatever, he would have stabbed him once, and that's it. And maybe she lives. I didn't say she's going to live. I don't know where he stabbed her, so there's no way I could know that. But is it possible that one stab, she might have still lived? Maybe, but not just that. What if he actually thought there was somebody there with a firearm? He wouldn't have done it. We see this. This happens again and again and again. If he believes somebody's there with if a cop was there, he wouldn't have done it. They don't do this in front of cops. That's not what happens. You don't see that. They'll do it to cops. You don't see that. So that's my point. I don't think he's a superhero. I think he'd be teleporting. If a guy's paying attention. Look, I don't know, Elliot, if you live in a city. I don't know if you're in a subway. I don't know if you do that. I live in a city, New York, the biggest one. I go on a subway and I have daughters and I train them and we pay attention. If you live in a city, again, I don't know where you live. If you live in a city and you're on a subway, I hope you pay attention. I do. Literally, I teach my daughters, you never have both in, one in. That's a thing we do. So one is in and one is out. So you can hear and listen and be, if you're listening to something, you can still check, right? Your area. You look and pay attention. I teach my daughters what to look for. Of course I do. I look too. That's how I know when situations have happened to me in the past, I made an appropriate stance to let the person know who was in a subway train acting a certain way. I made a stance to let that person know that there would be a fight. That person knew that and decided, I'm going to not do anything right now. Now, he might have something later, who knows? But I let him know with my stance and my eye contact that there was going to be a fight if he did something. My daughter was with me. That happened. It's happened more than once to me. So I'm not over-rationalizing. I don't know if that's for me again. That might have been for someone. If it's for me, that's what I was saying. And I stand by it. I stand by it. So, in any case, I'm glad you're watching. Please keep watching. Yes. Patty says, yes, they were all black on that train, the tiniest, frailest little lady. And if they were all white, I believe they would have wrestled them right down. I think that's a push. I don't know if that's true. Like Daniel Penny. Well, remember, for Daniel Penny, while this is the part that was weird with Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny was white, but the three people actually did the job. Most people don't know that, right? Mike Voss was talking about this. There were 3 people who actually stopped the guy. Penny was just the one who choked him. 2 other guys, and they weren't white. They were not white. So it was the fact that they were men who gave a damn. Race actually didn't matter in that case. Daniel Penny was white. The other 2 were not white. In the case of New York City, that is. But you're right. In this case, they were all black except for her. She was the tiny white girl. That's true. And that's why he did it. So, yes. All righty. Robert says, I wish I could help you get a place at the table. Thank you, Larry. You can by liking, commenting, and sharing. You can, Robert. Yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can. Yes, absolutely. All righty. Patty says, trying to think through maybe the witnesses were frozen in fear, so try to act normal. Yeah, I mean, I definitely could have seen that. I could have seen them be, I could have seen that happen. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It's possible. So, Mike has bad news says, putting Penny on trial was a warning to keep others from stepping in my opinion. You're not wrong. They wanted him to go away. They wanted him to go away. They wanted him to go away for 5, 10, 20 years. Yes, Mike says too. True, Penny was an example to comply and be silent. Yes, yes, and yes. 100% true. Yep. I really think that was what they were trying to achieve. They were trying to, yes. All righty. Phil says, we overpay for ineffective programs. Yes, which is why I don't want these damn programs all the time. 100% true. That's why I don't want these damn programs all the time. They absolutely just waste everything. They're a disaster. They're a constant disaster. All right, let me grab a couple more of these. We got so many of these. RFK's idea was to take those people and place them on rehabilitative farm type things, give care they need and teach them out. Yeah, you know what's funny is, again, people constantly shit on RFK Jr. Constantly. Yet he had a plan to say people who are in trouble, take them off to a farm, not a camp, a farm, and teach them things. How to grow, how to be connected to nature, all those things. Give them to Peace Logic's concept. Give them good food, all those things. And that's cruel and that's bad and Kennedy's crazy. What's your answer? Lock them up in prison forever or let them out and kill people? No. Or if you're Walsh, kill them. Literally, hang them, his words, hang them by a tree. That's his answer. Way better. Put them on a farm. Give them a community. Well, Larry, they're crazy, whatever. Yeah, but here's the thing to remember. This is factual. Even sociopaths, I'm not making this up. You think I'm making up, do your own homework. If you think I'm wrong. If you raise sociopaths in a helpful environment, in a positive environment, they will not be violent. They'll still be sociopaths, but they will not be violent. They will copy their environment. They'll still be manipulative. They're still sociopaths. But they will not be violent. Why? They don't see violence. There's violence around them. And you think, Larry, you saw TV. Do your actual homework on sociopaths. That's actually how it works. Sociopaths copy their environment. They try to move effectively through their environment. If they're taught that violence is an effective way to get what they want, they will be violent. If they're taught violence is unacceptable in getting what you want, they will not be violent. They aren't necessarily violent. They are by default selfish. That's why they're sociopaths. So they want what they want, but they will use whatever tool works. They want to be effective. If violence is effective, they will use violence. If it's not effective, they won't. They don't care what tool they use. They don't care. They're sociopaths. So even sociopaths, if you raise them on a farm where where violence is not acceptable way of getting what you want, they will not be violent. That is literally science. Follow the science, you science people. That's how it works. Yes. Anyway, alrighty. Joel says, DeCarlos Brown could have made his way to the back of the train and gotten the carrying caboose. True. In fact, here's the reality. He would have already got to the carrying caboose a long time ago. For those who know my idea of the carrying caboose in the trains, with the last car of every other train is a place where there's private security, Wi-Fi, sponsored by some type of company that's trying to make their image better, and trained social workers who would know who he is and be able to have him in the system, give him the help he needs in the carrying caboose. He's feeling like the world's ending. He has no place to go. You go to the carrying caboose. You might go, wait a minute, Larry, well, what about the other systems? Well, here's the reality. For those who don't know, most of the shelters, there's a whole lot of paperwork to do to get in the shelters. And many people who are homeless are actually families or people who are just out in a bad spot, lost their home, whatever the case may be. Those people who don't have a mental problem can easily fill out the forms, deal with the issues. They can handle the bureaucracy, right? They can handle it because they don't have a mental issue. They're just in a bad spot. People who have a mental issue, they physically cannot handle the paperwork required. So go to the carrying caboose and they will handle the paperwork for you. Yes. You give them an opportunity, a place, a chance. Yes, absolutely. So, yes. Steve says, once the thug left the car, they still sat and did nothing. No finding an attendant, no saying they could help. She was still sitting there for another couple of minutes before falling to the floor and dying, not even calling 911. They should all file on the No, you went too far on that one. And the reason why I say that, you're right in everything you said till the end. Why? And here's the reason why, Steve. We have been trained to not help. We have been trained to walk away. We have been trained to call somebody. We have been trained in these cities. And again, New York comes to everyone. Everyone. We've been trained to not do that. That's the real. You were good until the end. The end is not fair. We've been trained to not do that. Yes. Yes. Elliot says, this guy was the victim of anything. He's insane. That's literally a victim too. State sanctum or death. State sanctum I buy. And if that was on purpose, then I would see that. But I'm not a fan of the state doing death penalty. I'm not a fan of the state. I don't trust the state enough. But lock him up. I don't. And my point earlier, Elliot, if we had to lock him up forever, I accept. If that's what happens, I accept that. If that has to happen. I hope not. I hope there's a way of curing him. I have no idea what his issue is. I have no idea if it's possible. But he wasn't cured. He was literally schizophrenic, and 2 weeks later let him out. You don't get cured of that in 2 weeks. Everybody knows that. So he wasn't cured. So yes, of course he's also a victim too. Of course he is. Of course he also is. It doesn't take his crime away, right? You could say, well, some guy grew up in the system and his mom was an addict. My mom was an addict. His mom was an addict, and therefore that's why he did these bad things. He's still a victim of the system. It's still true, but it doesn't take away his crimes. Both things can be true. You can be a victim and still also be a criminal. Both can be true. And I say both are true. I'm just saying what's annoying me is people acting like his victimhood is somehow senior to hers. No, it is absolutely junior. He murdered her. She is the victim. Is he also a victim? Yeah. But that doesn't mean he didn't do it. Doesn't mean he should be punished. That's all I'm saying. It's a nuanced view. I'm trying to not do this. Kill them all. I'm trying to avoid that because that shit doesn't work. I don't want to be like Matt Walsh and you just be hanging from trees. That shit doesn't work. It just makes us worse. I want to solve the problem and not just act like, well, I'm a cool guy and I'm virtue signaling. Just punish them. I don't want that. I don't want that. Yes. Phil says it's often translated, who will watch the watchers? We should change it to who will judge the judges. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Who will judge the judges? Yep. Mike says, young black men desperately need good role models and effective purpose. Instead, establishment offers dependence on government, and we live the consequences. Utterly true. And that was the other piece I wanted to bring up too. every single time the Black community has tried to support itself, it has been government that has crushed them. Every time it's been government that's crushed them. And what you'll hear people say, it's the white man. It's not the white man. The average white guy doesn't give a shit at all. He doesn't care. He's like, whatever. You got a nice house? Good. I don't care. Can I have a nice house? That's what he cares about. My family, that's what he cares about. The average white guy doesn't care at all. It takes government to crush these communities, and government keeps doing it again and again and again. John says, not government programs, but local religious, civic, or individual programs. True. Yes, true. Absolutely. Ryan says, King Randall's awesome. Yes, indeed, he is. True. Minor Threat says, here in CA, California, before it wasn't easy to get out of state forensic psych hospital, it found NGI. Hold on. Here in California, before it wasn't easy to get out of the state forensic psych hospital, it found NGI. I'm not sure what NGI is, especially for violent crimes. Not guilty for insanity. Not guilty because of insanity. Is that what that is? Especially violent crimes. Don't know when it was released after previous crimes. Who said it was no longer unsafe? Yeah, look. The reality of it is, again, just because you have a problem doesn't mean you're not guilty of a crime. You still pay the price. But there may be an added, or in my best case scenario, you would get your treatment while you're being incarcerated. That's the best case scenario. I would like us to do it, but that may be too much to ask. Government can't do anything right. So maybe that's too much to ask. Maybe you do your whatever years, and then what will be wrong with, say, a judge saying, for the crime you committed, whatever, I'm making this up, 5 years, whatever, he got 5 years. 5 years, that's a crime. And because you are literally schizophrenic, you then need to go to this facility or this thing, and you ought to stay there for at least 1 year, or I'm making that number up, whatever that number is, or until they deem you, okay to be back out in society. What's wrong with that? Why wouldn't a judge do that? Of course not. They won't. But so I don't have a problem with that. Pay for your price. And this goes to my point I was talking about with Elliot. You are both a criminal and a victim. I accept that. Pay your price for your criminal activity, right? You should pay for your actions. I will say that. Not for carrying something, for your actions. Okay. And now let's do it. Why? And again, to Matt Walsh's, why are you hanging from a tree? Because we're supposed to be human beings, number one, right? The guy might be innocent, number two. But not just that. Maybe his family and friends can support him back in action. And people who recover, and for those who don't know, this is data, again, you can check it out. If you are a felon and you work for 5 years, that's, for some reason, that last number I checked, that may have changed recently, but last time I checked, it was 5 years. That was the magic number. If you work for 5 years, you are actually less likely to commit a crime than someone who's never been a felon. You are safer than the average American. Yes. Wouldn't I want more of that? I do. So let's do that. You want safer communities? Get felons to work for 5 years. 5 years of work in a row. 5 years of purpose. 5 years of being a member of society. They are less likely to commit a crime than people never convicted. They are safer. Let's work on that. I would like that. Phil, thank you for the $1. If someone's looking to build a healing facility, Seneca Army Depot is empty. It's close to the Amish in the Finger Lakes. There's a lot of space to garden or learn skills. Look at that. Look at that. Right there. Yes, I love that idea. Yes. Shay says, I miss Olivia. Olivia's working for, is it Breitbart now? She went to Fee. I think now she's working for Breitbart. I saw her last year. I had lunch with her. I brought my daughter Barbara with her. We had lunch with her in DC last year. So yeah, she's great. Still love her to death. She's still amazing. Yeah, love her. She's awesome. Big fan of her. I really like her a lot. So, all righty. Let's see. Grace says every train in Walmart is a Marine. Oh, look at that. Some of you remember that story. Yes, Marines used to guard the mail trains, and there was no more stealing of the mail. That's true. Absolutely. Yes. So, all righty. Mike Voss says media doesn't talk about it, but in 2013, Obama study, yes, White House sponsor, found gun ownership saves around 3 million lives a year. I believe it. Grace says armed society is more polite. That's what they say. Yes. I like it. Michael says, when solicitors knock on doors around my parts, they stand 15 to 20 feet away from our door. They know where I live. Everybody is armed to the teeth. I know you see it in parts of New York that way, right? Because when we do door knocking, we walk up, knock on the door or ring doorbell, and then step down. Right? That's true. We don't want the person to feel like they're being threatened. So ring the doorbell or knock on it when you're doing political stuff, and then you step back. Right? That's true. That is a thing we do in upstate, not downstate. Not downstate, but you do see that upstate. I agree. Yep. All righty. Morgan says data collection, anonymity, etc. is large barrier to care. Yeah. You want to make it as easy as possible for that. Yes. Robert says, is Larry suggesting we give sociopaths a code like the TV Dexter series? No, that's actually not a thing. That's Dexter's a fun story, but that's not how sociopaths work. No, that's not how that works. But sure, I like that. Yeah. So Bear You says, come on, Larry, you lost me at that. No cure. He needs to be left in a dark room and fed dog for the rest of his life. Well, yeah, because he's killed somebody now. Right? No, don't get me wrong. The point I'm trying to bring up here is he went to jail for 5 years, right? And he was arrested 14 times. So that means we had, as a society, 14 opportunities to assist him in some way, shape, or form. His mom said, my son is dangerous. I don't want him in my house. Community failed him. But again, community can't do it because government has stopped community from actually trying to save him. But his community should have saved him. In my world, Bear You, if I could have it the way I wanted it, now obviously I can't, but if I could, his community would have saved him. When his mom said, my son is dangerous, there would have been a group of people who maybe could have sent him to that farm that RFK Jr. wants, or whatever would have been the appropriate thing, so that he wouldn't have been arrested the other 13 times. So maybe he wouldn't have been arrested after his 5-year stint. So he wouldn't have gone back into this. So he wouldn't have been let out. So he would have never had to do this. We did none of that. So yeah, that's my issue. So I'm not trying to say that he should be let go now. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that he could have been repaired. Or I'm sorry, if not, locked up forever. I'm okay with that too. Like, I'm okay with him being locked up. But you don't got to put him in a dark room and feed him dog food. Not required. Not required. Right? Just make sure he's not hurting people. That's fine. Whatever. Grace says, and not get blind sign. That's what I thought. Okay, I figured it out after a while. It took me a couple of times to figure that. Yes, I did figure it out eventually. So yes. So, all right. Barry goes on. Yeah, okay. We're talking the same thing, Barry. Right? Where were they before the innocent girl was killed? Agreed. That's my whole point. If we want to stop this, punishing him after the fact, great, you kill him or whatever. She's still dead. We should have fixed this. Again, I would say community, but us as a nation, we have to do something about this. We don't have to. We're not gonna. We should. Let me go use the right word. We should do something about it. We should have done something about this a long time ago. We should have fixed this before he did this. That's the issue. Rona says, even if no one on that train after the monster was gone could have saved her life, someone, if not everyone on that train, could have given her comfort, talked to her, held her hand, pray with her. Agreed. And that's terrible. Yes. Agreed. That's what should have happened. I completely agree with you. That's what should have happened. Morgan says, yes, I love that stat. Yep, it's 5 years. That is the answer. It is 5 years. Yep. Morgan goes on to say, it takes a special kind of person to work with a civility mentally ill. True. Especially those that have a propensity towards violence. Many people that are suffering that way are fighting more demons than any of us can imagine. That does not take away from the heinous crimes committed, but the system is in no way adequately provide care for them. Yes, agreed. And that is my point, right? This is the problem I'm trying to avoid. And some people aren't getting it. And maybe I'm not communicating it well. Maybe it's too emotional. I knew this would happen when I was talking about it. I am not trying to say he shouldn't be punished. I am not trying to say that he's innocent of his crime. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is just being vengeful is not going to stop the next one. Just being vengeful doesn't bring her back. And we are talking to the left is going more programs, which don't work. And the right is going punish him more, which also doesn't work. Neither of those two things work. What can work is by getting, and again, I gave you the examples, AA, GA, NA. If you want someone to be helped, community has the best chance of success. You want someone to not commit a crime anymore, 5 years of work. We know this already. This is known. The data is there. And what do we care about? More programs which don't work. Government never works. Or let's just be cruel. None of those work. That's what I'm saying. So, yes. All righty. Robert says the problem is if Brown was on some kind of medication while incarcerated, there obviously wasn't an institution set up for him to maintain the maintenance medicine upon release. Of course not. If you're in trouble, how can you do that? Right? It's why you need help. And the community is supposed, look, it's no different than, again, I'll go back to, I keep saying AA, but AA isn't magical. But having some type of community does increase the odds of someone recovering. That's just true. Well, the AA sponsor is the one who helps him get his medication. The NA sponsor, when it comes to Narcotics Anonymous, will help you get if you need your pill or whatever to help you, they help you. That's what they do. And that's community. That's not government run. That's community. And most of those people who are your sponsors, they're people who used to be addicts too. And they know all your bullshit. They know all your problems. That's why they do it. So yeah, I think that is an issue. So, all righty. Grace says, I'm being serious here. Less processed food and less horrible U.S. healthcare may have helped somewhat. You're right. I'm with you. I think Peace agrees. That isn't the answer, but that is an answer. No doubt that's part of it. There's no doubt that's part of it. No doubt. Of course, that's part of it. That I don't think it's the be all end all, but definitely part of it. And we should be looking at all of those things, right? We should look at all of those. So yeah. Michael says, we used to have long-term facilities for the seriously mentally ill before Big Pharma foisted their solution on America. That piece you brought up, we used to have long-term facilities for the seriously mentally ill before Big Pharma foisted their solution on America. Yeah, it is hard to get people to pay for long-term facilities. It is very easy to get people to pay for a one-a-day pill. Very easy. You're right. Particularly when government pays for everything. Very easy. You're right. But somehow in the past, we used to have hospitals that worked relatively well. We used to have mental institutions used to well. Many of them were run by churches. That was a common thing. I'm not saying we have to go back to that, but there was still community. There was still community. Community piece matters. Yes. So Ken says, community is always key. Start at home and family, then neighborhood, district, city, county. If everyone started there, every state in this country would improve. True. Absolutely true. Yes. The piece that matters here is support structure, right? And when you don't have it, you fail. So again, I know people want to be angry. I know people want to say, get them, burn them, whatever, eat them, have them eat dog food, whatever. So what? It doesn't change anything, right? It doesn't change anything. I want things to be better, and community is the answer, and I keep giving answers for that. And the next thing I want to make this happen here is gun control is not going to help. More programs, not going to help. Community and family are going to help. If we don't change our communities and people don't step up, nothing's going to be better. Because that guy knew that he could stab that small woman and walk off that train. And he knew he could walk, and he could say it. He knew he could do it. And he did it. And that was common. Think of where these monsters attack. They attack the weak every single time. Why? Because there aren't enough Daniel Pennies in the world. There aren't enough. There need to be more. When it comes to gun control, the opposite is true. The less gun control we have, the less of this we'll have. If he thought he was going to be put down, if he believed he's going to be put down, he wouldn't have done it. He would not have done it if he believed he'd be put down. He wouldn't have. We need to have more of that. Less gun control, more community. We've got to get people to assist their communities in supporting people like this. Not just that. We need to realize that our judges have failed us. He should have never been let out. He should have been stuck in there and somehow try to fix him, whatever the case may be. I don't know what that answer is, but if you don't have community, you don't let him out. There's a difference between what Matt Walsh says, you hang him from a tree, which is a terrible idea, or keep him in until you can fix him. Now, I don't care how long that is. If until you can fix him is 5 weeks or is 50 years, I accept. Whatever that is, whatever that number is, I'm okay with that. But until he can be cured, whatever time frame that is. Barry says, I understand the community did fail, and that's true. Yep. I can honestly say that as I've worked with the prison system over 25 years, and this guy will not face his punishment in prison. He'll be more of a criminal in there, as we all know. You're not wrong. Prison doesn't work. It makes you a better criminal. It makes you more racist. It makes everything bad. He's going to hate white people more. He already doesn't like white people. That's already true. And you might go, Larry, how do you know that? Because he literally said it. He said it. He said it as he walked out. Witnesses said it, what he said. So yes. I don't believe no more money should be spent on this individual for any treatment. I believe more guns in the good people's hands will help, as well as family and community will. Yep. Will you please run for governor, make this jerk Kathy go back to Buffalo and leave Albany? Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Yes. And Liberty goes, and knife control won't work either. True. Yes. Nathan says, yes, community is so important, and no one else is saying it, which is why we need Larry Sharpe for governor 2026. Thank you. Yes. I'm hoping so. Shelley goes, yes, Nathan, correct. She also goes, they attack gun-free zones. True. They attack the weak. If we make less communities weak, there'll be less community attacks. Yes, absolutely true. The more, the better. I love that. That's amazing. Guys, I want to ask you if you could, I know I've asked you in the past to go over to the advocates. I'm going to ask you again. You want to support the show? Please support the show. How do you do it for free? I've been asking you, hey, join Civil, $25, great. Become a member, $49. Well, great. But there are things you can do that are absolutely free that can help the show. One of them, obviously, click the like button. Or click the anything button. If you're on Facebook, click the hug button or the love button, whatever. Click a button. I don't care which one. Click them buttons. It does matter. Click them, every one. If you can share this someplace, please do so. Repost this. Free. Please do it. It didn't cost you nothing, but it helps out the channel. It helps me out tremendously so I can grow this more and more. You want more people talking about community? And something else. You want someone who is not afraid to talk about race, who is not afraid to talk about tough issues like this, and take people who are insulting me and just talk it out with them. You saw me do it. People like, Larry, you're wrong on this. Talk it right out. Not mad. Have that conversation. You want more of that, and live, so you can just pop on and do it. You want more of that? Support this show. How can you do it? Click that link that you see on Facebook. You see it also on Rumble. You see it also on YouTube. It's a link that says link to the advocates. Click that link specifically. Head over to theadvocates.org. When you head over there, take one of their quizzes. Whichever one you like, take one of them. In fact, the one I think I want to talk about today, if I can see it right now, is there's one on it's one on criminal justice. Let me see if I can find that one specifically. I think you may enjoy that one. I will pop that one up so you can look at it. If you head on over there, let me see if I can find it right here. Quizzes and single issue survey. Yes, it is literally called the, you know what? There's a couple we could do. We could actually do gun control. That could work too. There's a bunch of them. They pop over and I'll show you what I mean. If you head over to that place that I just talked about, can you see it? There we go. Yeah, you see it there? There is the single issues, gun control, or identity politics. That could work, or police accountability, protest civil disobedience. Any of these you want. Please take one of these surveys, whichever one you want. Take any of these surveys. Just take one. And when you take one of them, when you're done, share it. Now, if you want to, you can give your email address and they'll email it to you, easy to share, or just do a screenshot and share it. But share it and use that same link again. It helps the channel tremendously. It makes everything better for us. Please check it out. It does help. I appreciate it. All righty. I know I ask you that often, but I want you to do it, please. If you've already done it, please do it again. If you want to do it, if you've already done it, Larry, do it again. Do it again. It does matter. Please do it. It helps the channel. It gets more people there, because if you share it, other people go there, and we're also talking about it. And the more conversations, the better. It really does matter. Also, I'm asking, as always, if you have not followed me already on Facebook, X, and Rumble, please do so. Every little piece does matter. Remember, after this is over, please comment. Mr. Rhythm, Algo Rhythm, loves it when you do that. So comment afterwards. I want you to ask the question if you would. What do you think the outcome? What's the outcome from this tragedy? Give me one thing you think will come from it. We think we'll get better, worse. The left will be stronger. The right will be stronger. Will be more gun control. What will be an outcome from this? What will be something that will happen from this terrible tragedy? Good or bad? Whatever you think. Tell me what you think. Remember, this is not live when you're watching it. If you're watching the day, you can see 2 different videos pop up. Please click on one of them right away. Watch for these 8 or 10 minutes. Algo loves that too. I'll be back on tomorrow. I will see you all